So what's up, Javi?
What's going on, Frankie?
Oh shit.
So I
What's up?
so I kind of made some moves on you last week.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
And I was telling my friend about it. I was like, yeah, I kind of made some moves on Frankie. I call him really thick.
Okay. Thick with 2 C's.
Like it was in my head, it was more like 4 C's.
All right.
And it was so funny because then just the other
How
day,
funny?
it was like on a scale of 1 to 10,
1 to
it was,
funny?
it was pretty funny.
Okay.
Pretty fucking funny.
Pretty fucking funny.
But I went into work the other day, and our good friend Joe, he sees me, and I'm wearing my outdoor clothes. You know, I'm not wearing my work clothes.
Yeah, which is way different.
And
you got to have a different wardrobe for both.
Yeah.
All right.
And he was so thrown off by what I was wearing, and he was like, "Wow,
You looking thick.
you look so fly right now, Javi."
All right.
He was just like, "Damn, what you doing right now, Javi?" I was like, I'm just walking my dog, man. I just getting back home right now, actually.
All right.
But then I told my friend about that, and she was like, "Man, it's like you guys are gonna have like an orgy or something." And I just feel like I should bring that up because we should just speed the process, honestly.
If I'm not mistaken, you mentioned where we work. About to be unemployed orgy. Nah, just kidding. We're working at Dunkin' Donuts. The secret's out.
Secret's
So
out.
we work at Dunkin' Donuts, and we wear those silly little aprons with the brown hats, and we fuck up everybody. No one tips us. We be dunking those nuts.
I eat ice cream on my break.
He eats ice cream on his break, and I smoke cigarettes on the clock at the register.
And yeah, definitely inside the building.
Inside the building.
Yeah.
And while I'm holding my cigarette, there's a donut on the cigarette. If you get it, Anyway. Aside from orgies and employment and Joe, the Holy Trinity, we are here. We started shooting so fast. I feel like we got here. We started. No, not really. We discussed and shit.
Yeah.
It's just this is such a normal thing to do now. Like it's Friday night. What's the day? It's April
15th.
April 15th.
Today's my brother's birthday.
Oh, I didn't know that shit.
Yes, sir.
So we sing happy birthday?
Yeah, let's sing happy birthday to him.
Give me a sick beat, Javi. Cause the beat is sick. All right. Yo, Lucas. It's your birthday. Yo, Lucas. Oh. It's your birthday. Say, hey, it's your birthday, Lucas. Mucus. Yeah. Happy birthday, Lucas. I said, that might have been the best freestyle in the world, man.
That was probably the best or the cringiest thing we've done on this show yet.
We saw how in sync we were. That shit ended at the perfect time, bro. I feel like Kanye West and your Mary J. Blige.
No, I don't. No, I'm nothing.
I feel like Aaron Carter and your what's his name? Johnny Cash.
Sure, let's go with that.
Nice.
Don't hurt me though.
I won't. And aside from Lucas' birthday, happy birthday. He's now
19.
Oh, I wasn't gonna say it. He's 19?
Yeah, he's a baby.
Fucking I think he's old, man. I think he's an old motherfucker now. I think he got some responsibility to within this world. Aside our personal lives, what are we doing today, Javi?
We're on the earth.
And we're going to talk about what's in our minds.
And this is why it matters.
What is this?
This is EarthMind&Matter, Frankie.
I think it's the wrong show. I'm out of here. Now, welcome to EarthMind&Matter, Frankie. This is Javi.
Welcome.
And this is episode, what, 15?
Episode 15.
Jesus Christ,
and
bro.
And it's April 15th.
Oh, shit. Oh! That's kind of crazy. If only Lucas was turning 15 years old.
Right?
Damn, Lucas.
He just had to fucking ruin it.
Jesus Christ, Lucas. God damn it.
Goddamn Gen Zers always ruining everything.
Man, fucking just go touch some grass. Well, we're here, man, and what a crazy week last week, though.
Yeah, we've had a quite the eventful week this past week.
Yeah,
in
man.
a lot of ways.
Oh,
But how are you?
I'm doing good.
I know we kind of just jumped in talking about personal shit, anyways. But how you doing today, Frankie?
Outside all the orgies and stuff, I think because I think about 17 orgies I've already had in the past like 2 weeks. You know, tired. I'm tired, man. I think I might have lost some.
I would imagine.
Everything's been good. Just fucking. It's so interesting to come and do this. I don't know if I said this earlier, before or after we started shooting, because we did just take a shot of tequila. Woo woo. But it's Friday, right? It's Friday, and right now people are getting shit faced, pre-gaming. I was in the city last week, right? I went to go meet up with my friend of mine. And you know, when on a weekend night, you see everybody getting fucked up, having fun, woo, going crazy. Woo. Yeah. I saw some guy, I think he got fucked up too early. So he was by himself, just leaning over, just looking all like, damn, I feel like, how early did you pregame? did you wake up and pregame, bro? and there's people doing that, having fun, you know, going to work or whatever. But we're here just talking. I feel like that's pretty dope, man. That's pretty dope. So blessed to be here. And I'm excited, man. I just feel like this is such a, again, I keep saying it, but normal thing we're doing now. And to many, many more.
Nice, man.
How you doing?
Doing pretty A-okay tonight. I'm chilling. I always think about it too, where it's like, you know, people are just getting out, shit-faced, doing their crazy things, and we're just here chilling, grilling.
Chilling, grilling, killing.
Living.
Couldn't take any more things. Whatever, Mucus Lucas, you know, all that stuff, man. That'd be a cool rap name, Mucus Lucas. Oh, the noise that he would make, like, you know? Fucking. Do you spit in the street?
Sometimes.
Sometimes
when it's like I just have to.
You just got to, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the amount of people that spit now is lessened because of social media.
Okay. You really think that has a correlation?
I think anything is lessened that you do publicly, like peeing in the street. Somebody's like, hey, he's peeing in the street, let's record him. Or straws. I know a lot of people want to save turtles, but I feel like, I really do feel this. People don't use straws no more because of what they appear as when they use them. Like in Dunkin' Donuts, when we're giving out straws, you know, people would just be like, "Oh no, I'm okay, thank you," and I'm like, "Oh, like just don't take it." You know, I don't care about how you feel about yourself. I feel that people consider that as an image. It's like, "Oh, you're using straws," and it's like they're biodegradable.
I mean, you know, it's definitely an interesting perspective.
It don't seem like it's that interesting.
No, I'm just kind of like thinking about it. I'm like, you know, I don't use straws personally.
Yeah,
like
not at all.
I try not to.
But you use them.
Like when it comes to like getting at fast food restaurants and those cups, like there's no other way to drink out of that cup without a straw.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you could just fucking
sip it, you know.
But like the cups are
like an American.
The cups are so malleable. They just like flop around in your hand and whatever. And
the straws are loose leaf. I feel that straws today are the new wearing fur.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Is I feel that people just think about themselves so much, how they're perceived. So, you know, like Stacy and Kim go back to the office, so that they're not using straws, but then Robert comes in with a straw every day, and they're like, oh, fucking Robert, or every day using a straw. Don't you know, turtles? You know, fuck turtles.
Hey man, Ninja Turtles are coming for your ass.
I don't give a fuck, man. If they do, that's my fault.
But real quick, which Ninja Turtle are you?
Damn, I want to say Donatello. Oh. You know, just because, you know, the stick is cool as fuck and it's underrated. I'm definitely not. Who's the red guy again? I forget his name.
Raphael.
I'm definitely not Raphael. He's too cool. Too cool. I can't be Raphael. And I'm definitely not. Was Michelangelo the pizza? Mm-hmm. I'm definitely not Michelangelo because I'm not like that cool on the different side of the spectrum. You know, I feel like they're opposites. So I'm definitely Donatello because I'm pretty chill. You know, I woke up really cranky today, Javi.
You were Raphael this morning.
This morning I was Raphael, and now I'm Donatello. But I was so cranky this morning. I even got enough sleep. I just started playing Fallout 4.
Okay.
Wow, man. And the only reason I'm playing it now is because Jonathan, our good friend Jonathan, the YouTube video will be out tomorrow, April 16th of American History X.
Nice.
They've been a little delayed. But it's including Jonathan, our last guest, who has his own YouTube channel, Escutia Runs, where he plays FIFA professionally. You know? And
wink.
But he's really fucking good. And I started playing Fallout 4 because he has. And for me, a Fallout game is dangerous, man. Because during the lockdown, I played Fallout Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I spent most of the lockdown waking up playing Fallout Las Vegas, and I fell in love. Fell in love with that game. So I just started Fallout 4. For some reason, I thought it would be bad.
Have you not played it before?
I've only played Fallout Las Vegas. So,
wow.
Or is it called Las Vegas? New Vegas. There we go. But because that game was so good for being such an old video game, I always thought the newer ones would just ruin the story. An hour in, I am obsessed just looking for random shit. And it's awesome, man. It's a really fucking great game. For those who are listening that are like, I don't give a fuck about your orgies, your Fallout, all that stuff. Hey, it's episode 15. Episode 15, you know? And next what?
16.
No, next week.
Wait.
What's next week?
What's next week?
I'll give you a hint.
Oh, yeah. I just remembered. We're going to try and film on 420.
And it's funny, we didn't even discuss it, but I figured we'd both try to do that.
Yeah.
just cause why not? Why not, you know? But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just chatting right now just because, fuck, man, I just enjoy fucking doing this show. I know this is not even the fucking EarthMind&Matter.
This is just like last episode we were b-holing. This episode, like, it's just Earth, Mind, and b-hole. Like, that's it.
Fuck the news and fuck the AMC section. No, I'm just having a good time. And what was I gonna say? Fallout 4 is amazing so far. But I haven't got into it. But that's what I've been up to, man.
Nice.
that's the day in the life of Frankie. Fallout 4 and getting angry in the morning.
I mean, I'm glad that we've had kind of a little funny little start to everything and whatever, because we're gonna get a little serious.
OD.
Yeah, definitely with the things that we're gonna be talking about. Some not so hoo ha-has anymore.
He, all that stuff.
But
now we gotta put our serious faces on. I got you. Look.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But I'll just read off the topics that we're going to be talking about today.
All right, back to the show. Real show. What's up?
So we're going to talk about the subway shooting that happened.
The what?
The subway shooting.
There was a subway shooting?
There's a subway shooting.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
All right.
We're going to get into the New York Lieutenant Governor Benjamin, who resigned from following some campaign finance indictments.
Oh, shit.
And then lastly, we're going to look at Elon Musk. After toying with Twitter, now wants it all.
Oh, I heard about that. I didn't even look into that. I didn't expect that to be the last thing. Holy shit.
So those are the topics that we're going to be looking into, and we'll get to the AMC section later.
Nice.
But those are going to be our news topics.
Hey.
So I figured let's just dive into it.
Splash.
All
right, let's dive in. No, there was a shooting last week and shit got real crazy.
Not even last week, this week.
Oh my God. Time flies. Well, I guess it'll be out Monday, so last week then, but right now as we're speaking, you're right. It's so let me know how what happened this week.
So on April 12th, Tuesday morning, a Frank R. James at the age of 62 got on the train.
Yeah.
And he was
that's the whole story.
He was wearing a construction vest.
Yes.
And he got on Kings Highway Station at 8:30 in the morning. And then when the Express N train in Sunset Park left the 59th Street station, he put on a gas mask and he released a smoke canister and then opened fire, opening 33 rounds in an upper cart of the train.
Yeah. New York City, of course, just to be said, like New York City for those listening in Denmark, right?
Yeah.
And Spain.
Oh, no, sorry, Norway.
Norway and Spain. Yeah.
But so that time that the train was moving, it, like I said, it left the 59th Street station
in Brooklyn,
Sunset Park, and it skipped the 53rd and 45th Street station to get to the 36th Street station. Okay. So basically 3 stations.
Gotcha.
And in that time, he
was on the train as it was happening, or he was in the station?
He was on the train. It happened on the train cart itself.
Jesus Christ.
It wasn't even at the platform. It was basically in between the tunnels as it was happening.
Wow.
So by the time that the train actually got to the 36th Street station, passengers were rushing out of the smoke-filled train, and some left from there, like at that station. Some got on the R train on the other side of the platform, and then that R train went to the next stop at 25th Street, and it carried, and that train was carrying some of the injured people who rushed out of the train.
They got injured, went on the train to escape the area.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And amidst all the chaos, that's when the shooter was lost. In that time, the police barricaded the entrances to 36th and 25th Street stations, and the NTA suspended service on the N, R, and D trains in that area.
Okay.
So that's what happened in that morning.
That's the gist, because there's a lot of detail. Before anything, nobody knew who the suspect was. Initially, this Frank James guy was just a person at large. We didn't know who he was, where he was, or what
we didn't even know
motive.
what he looked like or
Exactly.
anything, because the cameras weren't working at the station or anything like that.
MTA.
Yeah,
man. And interestingly enough, usually when we do the show, you have or I have the topics, and none of us do our research. Like if you right now you have the topic, I usually wouldn't have done my research, but because this was such a big story, I think I did my research myself too.
Okay.
And right before the shooting happened, what I learned is that before this whole thing was occurring, the shooting in itself, he let out some smoke. And a passenger was saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" Frank James then said, "Oops," and then he started to shoot. So that's something that apparently happened. And people are considering whether his target area was that station or was it to go into Manhattan and do it in itself. So that I found out today, and I thought that was interesting because there's a lot of news going on around.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this, that, he said, she said, who's to blame and all that. I just didn't know that fact, so I wanted to throw it out there.
Okay.
Because that's just interesting.
No, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, after that morning, pretty much 8 hours later, the police found an empty U-Haul van 5 miles from where the shooting took place.
Yeah.
They found that van was rented in Philadelphia.
Yep.
They also found the keys to the van, a credit card with his name to it, a Glock 9mm handgun, ammunition, a hatchet, fireworks, and a liquid believed to be gasoline.
And extended magazines as well. And consumer grade fireworks, which I don't know if you said already, but yeah, it's crazy, bro.
They also found out that Mr. James had addresses in Philadelphia and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Which is just a little kind of weird note.
He gets around.
Yeah.
He gets around.
But something that they found out during the time that they were figuring out everything about this guy is that he's posted many videos onto YouTube where he's expressed extreme views, criticized Mayor Eric Adams' subway safety policies, and said it would be easy to commit crimes on the subway.
Yeah.
On Monday, April 11th, the day before the shooting, he posted a video saying he wanted to kill people and to watch people die.
Yeah.
Other videos consisted of extended tirades, many of them over race and violence. These often would be tied to current events like the Russia-Ukraine war. One thing that I kind of pulled out was that while he was a massive supporter of black activists like Martin Luther King Jr. and people like that, he was very critical of black people who died in shootings especially from the police.
Really?
Where he kind of said that like you play stupid game, you get the stupid prize, or something along those lines.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. So he's basically blaming black people for putting themselves in that position.
Basically.
Yeah.
So he's
Frank James himself is black.
Yeah.
Okay, just to throw it out there.
He has some very strong like bigoted views, which is just kind of like really interesting to look at because it really paints a picture of who this kind of guy is just off of these videos alone. But on March 1st, he criticized Adams in one video over newly announced safety policies, which focused on homeless people. And then another video in 2020 that he posted was simply the camera trained at a crowded subway car. So the camera just literally sat there and he just recorded a crowded subway car, and that was a video.
Gotcha.
Really creepy.
Super OD.
But
I hope I'm in the video though. You just see me there like, hey Frank James, my name's Frankie. I hope we can be friends. Just kidding.
But there was basically a near 30-hour manhunt.
Yeah. And
basically how everything kind of came to an end was that he called in the tip after seeing himself on the news and told him that he'd be at the McDonald's that he was at from which he called from. Yeah. His phone was going to be dying, so he was like, I'm going to be here, so you can't call me back, whatever. And then the phone call dropped. And then they shortly got a call right after that saying that from another person saying that they saw him and that they found him and whatever.
Yeah.
And so the police, they went to the restaurant. They found that he wasn't there. So they stepped outside and they got flagged by a citizen who saw him. And then they got him like a couple blocks down. And Mr. James at this point is in prison without bail. And he has been charged with the federal crime of committing a terrorist act on a mass transit system.
Yes.
And yeah, those are kind of like the big points for you. It's an interesting developing story.
And today I read a lot of things too, and I wanted to kind of fill in a lot of those crevices of the story, just because again, it's just such a evolving story, and I feel that what's happening now is that people are blaming the police department, I think at its highest, in terms of the situation. That's what I see is happening, that the blame is being towards the police, and I want to discuss that later because we might have different opinions and all that. It's just interesting how all the attention is brought towards the police, right? But before all that stuff, when Frank James was doing all this, what I wanted to mention, let's see. So he got he went on the train. Right after he did the shootings, he continued to use the trains. He was on them the next day, like nothing.
Yeah.
As cameras were showing all that stuff. And initially, when this happened, they weren't considering this a terroristic attack. So the police department announced it wasn't a terror attack, that they weren't investigating as a terror attack.
Okay.
So that's interesting in itself. And again, like he did comment on how Eric Adams, our mayor, was handling the homeless situation and mental health issue situations. But he said in the YouTube videos, like you mentioned earlier, that he felt like killing people. He felt like killing people after he was treated for mental health illness. And he said that the people who are helping people in New York City for mental health aren't equipped to help the city's homeless situation on the subway. So this is a guy, I don't know if you remember this, with the James Holmes guy, who was going to shoot up the Aurora Theater. And right beforehand, he called the suicide hotline, and they didn't pick up the phone. And just because they didn't pick up the phone, he said, no, now I'm going to go through with it. Because, I mean, wouldn't you, not to say like we're both, going to shoot up a theater, but there's pushing points, just like one bad day or this or that. And the suicide hotline is kind of like the last straw, before somebody may or may not, commit suicide. And it's kind of like yelling in the dark for help, and somebody doesn't pick up the phone. I'm not at all justifying not Eric Adams, Frank James. I just want to bring in all this information just because it's a developing situation. And more news can come out tomorrow or this or that. Like, what if he had help or whatever? I just want to throw in those little details just because what I'm seeing, again, is people just posting whatever they want for their motive of politics, when we should look at every aspect and you make up your mind after hearing it,
Yeah, I mean, I think because I've been thinking about sort of the mental health perspective of this all as well, because clearly this guy isn't fully there in the head or whatever the case might be.
Even when he was getting arrested, he seemed calm as fuck.
Yeah, there's even one picture where there's like he has a slight smirk to him too, which is kind of like
astounding.
But I that's definitely been something that's been on my mind of just kind of like
what's going on with him,
and he is gonna get psychiatric help while he's getting through the system and whatever all this shit. But
he's gonna get a psychiatric exam, but his lawyer is claiming he has PTSD.
Interesting.
After not considering it a terror attack, Eric Adams spoke on it, said, hey man, this guy was putting up videos. He had all this equipment. He meant to cause terror and scare people in horror. And now they are considering it a terror situation, and he faces up to life in prison, like you just said. Right now, there's 7 shooting victims in the hospital. Although in stable condition, none of them are commenting on exactly what they're in stable condition for. And 21 people went to the hospital that day, in a certain hospital. There's more hospitals where there was like 3 or 1. And 16 were treated and released. Had to do with like smoke inhalation and gunshot wounds.
I think in my numbers when I was doing my notes, It was at least 30 people were injured, and that at least 10 of them were by gunfire.
Yeah, and he shot 33 bullets in the whole situation. So again, Eric Adams was deploying more officers in the train stations, and Frank James was like, "Nah, man, he doesn't really agree with that. He says not gonna help, like you said." And Crime Stoppers, when the cops tell you, hey, like call in this, New York City says call in these people when you see, it's a program ran by the police department or the city, which I want to throw in there too. When you're calling Crime Stoppers, you're helping the police catch people, and you're helping, if that makes any sense.
I mean, yeah,
it's like a basic statement, but I think it's important to say. He bought his gun. He bought the fireworks in Wisconsin. And he bought the gun in 2011 in Columbus, Ohio. While he was when he had the gun in his hand, he was trying to scratch off the serial numbers on the gun. So this guy got the fireworks in Wisconsin, the U-Haul van in Philadelphia, and the gun in Ohio. And when he went from Philly to New York City, he was sleeping in the van back to back. One thing I wanted to discuss real quick is that he was entering the MTA, and he was wearing an orange vest and a hard hat to get in. I don't know what information is out yet with him entering the subway, but he swiped his card, I think, a couple of times, and he wasn't able to get in. So he signaled to the booth, what it seems like in the video. He's like, hey, let me in. And they let him in. Which, of course, anybody can do that really in the subway, because it depends on the generosity of the MTA worker. I just think it's interesting how, again, who are you letting into the subway and who's allowed to go in or not? Because if that's the case, I could put on an orange vest and a hard hat and not pay my $275.
I've always had the mentality for myself of just like, as long as you act like you're supposed to be there, no one will ask you anything.
For sure. And especially in a transit system where millions are taking it, per week, And I'm not really trying to bring that up as a point or anything. I just think the video is very interesting how that's happening. Because what if you were in a hospital and you did that? Or there's this video, there's actually trending videos now. Who knows how true it is, just because a lot of people fake their videos. But I seen like a video where two guys put on a hard hat and a vest, and they go into SeaWorld, and they pretend they're fixing something, and they just enjoy SeaWorld or like Six Flags and stuff. But again, if you act like you're supposed to be there, again, who knows if they're just lying? They're like, hey, we're just trying to make a viral video. Can you please let us in if we just pay for our tickets?
Yeah.
There was a couple who spent the night at Target who snuck in or like stayed there till 2 a.m. They made a video, acted like they stayed there all night. But what ended up happening is that they stayed there till 2 a.m., went home, then they came back in the morning and shot the video as if they stayed there all night. They got arrested for trespassing and just for making a viral YouTube video. And they face a while in prison, which is ridiculous. But I do think that's very interesting, the whole aspect of him deploying the smoke grenades and the person saying to him, what are you doing, the witness, and all that stuff. And he says, oops. And then he starts to shoot. Because what if he did go somewhere else to do that? That would have been, cause he had so much weapons, the hatchet, the gasoline,
Well, because they, like, from what they say, this definitely was a planned attack.
Yeah.
It's not like he just kind of did this.
He just randomly had those items.
Yeah. Like, so it really brings up to question of like, what was his main goal? Because we can, the biggest assumption that we can make is that he's just trying to make a point in terms of that, how easy it is to commit crimes on the MTA system.
Which it is.
So that's like the biggest assumption I feel like we could make, that's why he did this.
Yeah.
But it's still up in the air of just kind of like, why did he do this?
Yeah.
Especially when you consider the fact that he's not like fully mentally there.
Yeah.
It really like brings up that question of like, why, like how violent is he, and for what violent tendencies did he have? And
where did he work? Who's his family? What is he connected to? How much does he know about New York City? It's very interesting. And again, we're going to find out probably very soon. His hearing is on Thursday of next week.
Okay.
So that's when the hearing begins, which is pretty fast paced. It's a federal hearing, so I don't think it'll be broadcasted live. I don't think you can broadcast federal hearings live. Right now, Johnny Depp, his court case is being broadcasted.
With the whole Amber Heard thing.
Yeah, and the what's it called? Defamation trial.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are listening and you're interested in that, I hear that Johnny Depp got accused for something he didn't do. But it's all a bunch of he said, she said. I really don't care for either or party, just because, celebrityism and all that stuff. Just because you're big on the theaters doesn't mean you're an innocent person.
I don't really care for Johnny Depp.
You know what I'm trying to say? He was wearing sunglasses in the court. Dickhead. But it is a scary situation. I live in Brooklyn myself, so a lot of people were hitting me up, like, be safe. I'm like, I don't live in that part, But it's still terrifying. I do know people that do live in that part. And in general, whether or not I knew people or anything, or if I lived in Ohio, it's still concerning because even though it's a major thing that happened, things like that happen on the subway all the time. And it may not be in the numbers and severity of Frank James, but one person getting injured on the subway is just as bad as, 10. Because this is happening in a city where there's a lot of police, but also a shitty MTA system. A disgusting one.
And we've already talked on this show before of like the increasing crime and increasing tensions in New York City, especially with crime, and how a lot of people are on edge recently living in the city because it's getting kind of bad out there.
Or just consistently bad. It just never stopped being bad. I don't remember a time ever where people weren't killing themselves in the train or getting pushed into a car. Or
the numbers do show that it's just like since the pandemic started, crime has just gone up.
Well, for sure, but also just that when have they gone down and gone up again? Numbers fluctuate. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, well, without a doubt. But
that's what I mean. So it may be up now with us, but think about people who've been here for years and decades. I think it's within the moment of our lives and how we see it, how it's impacting us. But I think if we look at numbers, tracing back, how much do those numbers fluctuate? And of course, in the pandemic, when there's nobody out, it's kind of hard to keep track of everything, or easy, if anything, if they rose up. I just think the MTA has
that's why it was so notable, just because it was the pandemic. People, especially then, were supposed to be indoors, and yet crime went up. That's why it was so notable at the time.
I think that's interesting, just because there's a lot of people who don't have a place to be indoors.
It's just an interesting conversation in general, just because it's like, that's kind of why I brought it up, just because it's like, crime just has generally gone up. Yeah. And so for something like this to happen just definitely scares a lot of people into even taking the train. I just heard a story like the other week from one of our coworkers as to why they don't take the train. Yeah.
I hate taking the train, man, all the time. Just in general, you always look over your shoulder.
Yeah. And they kind of had a traumatic experience of taking the train stuff. They were almost like in a whole crash. Yeah. And I could only imagine ever trying to take the train after that. Yeah. And I could only imagine being one of those people on that train that morning.
Oh no.
I don't think I would ever want to take the train again.
It's interesting you say that, because within the article I was reading, it was covering it day by day and all that stuff. And there's a couple comments on the actual train situation. A person named Fonzia, this is from the Wall Street Journal. It's a Brooklyn resident who only gave her first name. She said that she relies on the subway and will continue to take it. She said, quote, "I'm not scared," she said. "I believe what happens, happens, and that this was an isolated incident." Another person from France was being a tourist in New York City, as many, many people are. And she said that this shooting reminded her name was Emma R. I don't want to say her last name. I don't have permission to say her last name. Emma R. And she said that the shooting reminded her of the string of gun attacks that terrorized France last decade. And she said that she learned of the subway through her mother in France, the subway shooting of her mother in France. But what she said is, quote, "I'm not going to let it stop me from taking the subway and touring New York." She says, "I see a lot of police. That makes me feel safer." So these are two people that surprisingly weren't scared of. And mind you, they might have not been there, but through that, the people hearing about it, I think it's a different story if you've been shot yourself or were in the situation, but that's still happening nearby you. A train stop like that is only 30 minutes away from me. 20 minutes away from us. All that. I'm not bringing that up to make a point or nothing. I just thought that was astounding to me. That they were not.
I don't necessarily expect everyone to be scared by this, but I feel like it's interesting for that tourist perspective to kind of have that, because as soon as you said that they were French, I was like, oh, but in my head I was kind of like, oh, I'm sure they already are kind of used to this because of what's happened over there.
Aren't we used to this though?
I mean, with what's gone on in France, like over the last year or so, like,
I mean, some person got hit in the face with a hammer on the train.
And a dude ran a truck through a crowd in France.
9/11 happened here.
Okay, but that was like in
it still happened. You see what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying, but I just mean in the last year, there's been a lot of incidents in France specifically.
I don't think anything tops, aside from like war and stuff, a plane crashing into the World Trade Center that still affects people today. I'm
not trying to one up you.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that regardless, it's not even like who's this or that. I just say that it sucks that we are so accustomed to stuff. That's a major incident history. So for sure, I'm not trying to bring up 9/11 like, we should all be scared. But it's still a major thing that happens. And even though that's one incident through airline, through a plane that was terroristic and all that stuff, conspiracy, all that stuff, or whatever you want to believe. How many times do you see a story about the subway causing a death, an injury, or something horrific?
I mean, it's almost like every other day now.
That's why when this story came out, I don't care what, like, this wasn't like, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is crazy. Yeah, it was a little like, oh wow, this is, stunning to me. But it sucks because what I want to get into more is that this MTA sucks ass. Like, our MTA is the worst, and people who are getting mad at the police, why don't you take that same energy to the MTA? Why don't you protest the MTA? I have a friend that's a cop, and I'm sure a lot of people do. That train station's camera wasn't working, right? Who was that on?
I mean, from what I've seen, they say that it was definitely on the MTA's part because their security system
is trash. It's goddamn garbage. And you know how many cameras are broken in the MTA? 470.
Oh wow.
There's 470 cameras that are broken on the MTA. There is
out of how many though?
Let's look it up right now. But still, that's a fucking shitload of numbers. In terms of how unsafe the subway is, why are they not, funding that? Where's the money going to in terms of that when safety is, a priority? Let's look up how much cameras are on the NYC subway though. But what was it?
No, I mean, I was just curious because it's like, I just feel like that is like important to kind of point out, like out of how many at least, just because there's a lot of stations. So we've said the number on this show before, how many stations are. I don't remember the number, but.
Well, there's 472 subway stations that have cameras.
472 that have cameras?
That was updated September 13th, 2021.
Oh, wow. And
so 470 cameras that are broken. And there's 472 stations that have cameras. That's fucking ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous, bro. Come on, man. Like, and it's fucking stupid, man. Like, I just get mad because I think what's happening now, and this is obviously going to be something that people are going to be this or that. Have your opinion. I love when you have your opinion. Just don't scream at me. Let's see. Like, during this episode, I'm going to throw a piece of paper at you, Javi.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you when. And I'm going to rip up the paper right now. Right? And at one point in this episode, I'm going to throw it at you.
Okay.
Right? And I'm not going to tell you when. So I'm going to put the paper right here. I'll hold it in my hand the whole time. A lot of people are saying the cops have all this funding and all these cops deployment and all that stuff, yet they can't stop a terror attack on the subway. I always feel that there should be a cop on every single car of the station. That's how I think things could be the safest. I was brainstorming a couple of things just for the fun of it, I was thinking maybe there should be, instead of the precincts being upstairs, like on the ground level, maybe they should all be in the subway stations.
Some of them are.
I feel like all of them should be, since they're so incorporated with, New York City. And I also feel that the booths should not only be before you swipe your card, but they should be in the stations with a cop inside it. I heard there are stations that do have that, like booths downstairs, but not all of them from what we've seen for sure. What does that all require?
Money.
And what are people mainly trying to, people who are, thinking the police are too overfunded. What does that involve? I mean, you know what I'm trying to say to you.
No, I mean, I know that there's like the argument for a lot of people that like they want to defund the police and whatnot. Yeah. I don't necessarily have ever seen that as like the direct answer or anything. I think it's just been more of a I forget what the term or the word is.
So I just throw a piece of paper at you, right?
No.
Okay, so and I'm sorry. And my aim was on point. Anyway, I got I just threw the paper. And then shoot the forehead. That's fucking crazy. Oh my God.
I'll never recover from this.
Eric Adams, where were you? Okay, so of course I don't want to throw something obvious. I'm sorry for hitting you with something. That's not my intention. What I want to say there, and this may be people that I watch is going to be like, how dare you compare throwing a piece of paper to the police in the shooting? When I was talking to my friend who's a cop, right? And even in my first thought when I was hearing all these arguments against the police, and you may think that I'm defending the police. I don't give a fuck because I've had shitty police officers confront me and great police officers confront me. I don't care either way. How do you predict something like that?
I mean, you can't.
You can't. And it really is like when you're going to commit a crime, say you were going to commit a crime on a subway, right? You can look around. What do you look for first?
The cameras, probably.
Cameras, or what else in terms of human beings?
The cops.
The cops. And when, again, talking to the person that I'm talking about, there's MTA transit police. And they don't ever get the blame. I know they might be involved with the NYPD and stuff, but nobody really talks about the MTA police as well, you know? Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to say is that, of course, you're not going to commit a crime in front of a cop. But there are also cops that are dressed up undercover as well, you know? And this is just one cop that I'm talking to, so I'm not trying to be like he speaks for all cops and all cops are great and stop talking shit about them. I'm just trying to say that we should see both sides and how the base of it, my anger is directed towards the MTA. Is that, you know? I
mean, before I got.
That was a perfect time too. You close your eyes, look to the left. I was like, I'm gonna try to put it in slow motion because that shit went.
And you got me right as I was distracted, right when I was really in the zone of me talking. Because I was waiting for it to happen. I was gonna try and smack it out of the way because I knew where you were going at that, and I was gonna be like, "Well, I predicted it, but I predicted it." I was so ready.
If you had done that, I would have been like, you know what? Defund the police. Fuck the cops. I'm just hype personally on my side of things. Mind you, we ain't shit. We're not politicians. We are just Frankie and Javi. So if you don't like my opinion or you don't like Javi's opinion, go fuck yourself. Just kidding. Please keep listening.
No, but I mean, all I was gonna say is that I don't like defunding the police has never been like direct answer for me. It's always just kind of been like a reformation or a reorganization of things. Just because it definitely just seems like at times the priorities are just kind of out of whack.
Yeah. For sure that. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
So I think the police are kind of like a necessary thing in today's like society. Yeah. Like I feel like a bigger topic to talk about, or two bigger topics to talk about more than the police or anything like that, is the fact of mental health. Yeah. And gun rights, like which we've talked about before on this show. But I mean, how did he get that gun? And he was trying to take the serial.
But he got it. He did get it in Ohio, though. I feel that happens all the time.
No, but that's what I mean. It's like the background checks and things like that. Whenever the case is like how did he get that gun? And he was trying to scratch a serial number off of that gun, like you mentioned. So it's like, which, and this is just my take, as I always like to point out. But it's just like,
here we go. No, I'm just kidding.
But it's just like, if you just took guns out of the equation, this would not have happened.
Oh, but on the other hand, if somebody there had a gun and stopped him, this would have never happened. Isn't that interesting? And I'm not trying to defend guns or like, but it is to be said, if a cop was there with a gun, which is different because of course not civilians and stuff. It's just interesting because I'm not here I don't think people in New York City should be able to have guns all the time because that'd be just a shit show. Jesus Christ.
A hilarious episode of High Maintenance. You should still fucking watch that show.
Motherfucking Fergie. I gotta check that shit out.
There's a hilarious episode where someone it's about a group of like white women and like that are kind of like activists and things like that, and one of them gets a gun.
I like how you did this.
Yeah,
he shimmied like, left to right.
Like, you know, they're activists.
Fuck Eric Adams.
But one of them takes out a gun, and everyone's like, "What? What's wrong with you?" And I'll leave the joke for the actual episode, but the gun comes out at some point, and it's really funny.
Okay, fuck it. I gotta watch it. I wanted to read what a friend of mine. I'm not gonna mention him because I feel that would be disrespectful without getting his approval. But he did put it on social media, so I kind of want to do that. I'm actually ordering sushi right now, obviously. Before we finish. Anyway, so I wanted to read what he said because this is somebody that I want to have on the show that I told you earlier. But I really respect his opinion. And again, what I want to do with this conversation is put it up on our Instagram. Okay. And I want people to hear our conversation and understand that. I mean, of course, it's gonna get a lot of backlash. Because anybody hearing dependent cops, especially in a blue state, I hate to say those terms, but actually, hold on. Like New York City, I just feel that everybody's going to have an opinion, but more so it's going to lean towards just being frustrated with the cops. Now, mind you, the cops have a terrible reputation, a terrible one. I more so think that anybody could be a cop. I've always said there's too much fat cops. I've seen
too many fat cops.
Yeah, bro. I've seen too many fat cops where I'm like, I may not be able to survive your bullet wound.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah. I may not be able to withstand your taser, but I could outrun your bitch ass. And I'm not the slimmest motherfucker out here, you know, but and even up to now, I've seen videos of people, escaping cops and all that stuff. And I think that we need to have cops that are much more able-bodied to handle situations.
So you want RoboCop on the street?
I want everybody to be a RoboCop or look
you
like...
You want RoboCop shooting dicks left and right? Brah, brah. You selling a dime to that child? Brah.
You just spanked your kid? Slap. I want motherfuckers beheaded in the middle of Times Square. You know what I mean? No, I just feel that I don't know shit about how the funding is directed. I just don't agree with that whole defunding cops. I just think it has to be redirected and done better. And I think that it has to be more incorporated with the citizens in New York City. But of course, there's racial injustice as well. There's a whole bunch of sub-factors where, I've heard a lot of cops themselves speaking to them that all they're cops for is their pension, just to retire and make money afterwards. You know, being a cop is a great job financially. Mm-hmm. And I just think the whole matter is interesting. The guy who I was talking to that is a cop, he said they should protest the MTA for 2 days. Nobody take the train for 2 days.
That'd be wild.
It'd be wild, right? Of course, everybody has to get to work, but it is in your right to protest. And what would the MTA do?
That just kind of reminds me real quick, but I gotta throw it out there. But I saw that,
just like I threw that paper at your fucking face.
Yeah, I'm throwing a vocal paper at you, bitch.
Hold on. All right, you take a piece of paper, and I'm gonna see if I can deflect it whenever you throw it at me. Just know I'm ready, man.
But
2 years later,
I'm gonna do it off camera. I'm gonna do it the next time we work together.
And it's a huge piece of paper. It's just a huge piece of fucking construction paper. Oh man, I'll continue. You said you had to bring it up.
Fucking Uber and Lyft and stuff. They had surge prices in the area.
I wanted to bring that up as well.
The shooting happened, which is a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
And I really hope that they somehow were able to reverse that,
reconfigure,
or reconfigure, reverse that for everyone that ordered a ride during that time, because that would be a really shitty thing if they just committed to that.
I saw that, and that's what I think about in terms of how people are just spreading posts to kind of plead their agenda, right? I'll tell you this: when I went to WrestleMania, right, and when I left from Dallas, Texas, I was looking for a cab.
Don't suplex me.
That's the next step. I got to the arena for $28 to get back to my hotel, it was $100 for an Uber and a Lyft. That shit hurt my heart. That shit hurt my heart.
Hurt my heart to even hear it.
And I had to wait. Me and Beatrice had to wait for like an hour. An hour. And I was getting scared because my phone was dying. And then we probably had to go to a Mexican restaurant across the street, but the highway has 1,000 cars. You know, I ordered the $100 Uber. I'm like, I want to get home. We had a fucking steel chair. Literally, we took a steel chair from WrestleMania. But why do you think the price went up?
Because everyone else was trying to go home.
So why do you think the price went up when the shooting happened?
Because no one was trying to take the train and the trains were all shut down and stuff.
And when everybody's trying to order Uber, the price is going to go up. Because
that's just how surge pricing works.
Exactly. And I feel that people are saying, wow, how dare you guys up the prices during this crisis. That rhymed. But how the fuck were they supposed to know that was happening?
No, of course. It's just a shitty thing that happened.
Of course. And I feel that
that's why I say I hope that they somehow reverse that or reconfigured that somehow.
But these motherfuckers get paid too. You know, like the Uber driver, it's not even that they were like, oh, let's make some money, even though that's pretty much what they do in those situations in general. But how many drivers do you think there are? You know, like what you think these drivers just are all available at once? Like
all I'm saying is I want bikers to start picking them up. I want to ride on the back of someone's bike.
I want fat cops to give me piggyback rides.
I want to be on the back of Paul Blart's moped.
I wrote this just because I really feel that I'm getting pretty riled up, but just because it's just fun. But I wrote, Uber and Lyft blame for hiking up prices. But again, with something as unpredictable as that, it isn't hiking up due to emergency. It's hiking up due to the amount of drivers to accommodate the amount of people able to get a ride before another one shows up.
That means just an algorithm.
Exactly. And then like you said, a feature should be brought about in the future regarding emergencies, but drivers need to be compensated and drive back and forth in a realistic and safe manner, because they shouldn't also be speeding unless their lives are in danger. At that point, fuck everybody, just save your own life. And aka traffic, not breaking traffic laws, which worsen in times of crowdedness. So, but it just bothered me when I saw a bunch of people complaining to these companies saying, how dare you do it in terms of emergency? I know you're not saying that right now. I just think that people are just like the cops saying, how dare they not figure this out, you know, or stop it from happening. It's just that it's not that easy. You know, we have an 8 million population in New York City. How many cops do you think? Hey Siri. God damn it. Android wins again. let me Google it. Let me Google how
we never turn off the Google Home. You could just always ask.
You ask.
What do you want me to ask?
How many cops are in New York City?
Hey Google, how many cops are in New York City?
6,000 officers on the website www.1.nyc.gov. They say the New York City is one of the oldest municipal police departments in the United States.
God damn it, Google.
19,000 civilian employees. I also this question: how many police forces are in New York?
Ask her. Shut the fuck up.
That's enough.
Ask her the population to. Like I'm asking you to ask. Ask her the population of New York City.
Hey Google, what's the population of New York City?
Fuck you, Siri.
2019, the population of New York City was 8,419,316.
8 million. So let's see. What's 8 million divided by 46,000? What was it?
I didn't hear it because you fucking made a noise as soon as she started talking. I don't want to ask her again.
Because you just check. Oh, there's definitely not the right proportion ratio, right, of cop to civilian. So, and I'm not trying to say, hey, we need to fund the police. You know, I just think that the money should be as is, directed correctly, and whatever isn't worth the money should be out. Now, one thing Eric Adams said, which he's a bullshitter for sure, he said, I take the trains. I take the trains at 3 and 4 in the morning and I feel safe. Bitch, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because even if you did or didn't, ain't nobody up at 3 or 4 in the morning except drunk people. And, you know, but I think Eric Adams, he picks his words wisely. Even in the supplementary the other day, he said, which I thought was very cleverly worded. He said, I don't understand how people are allowing people to live on cardboard boxes and outside in the streets, and they're dignifying that, saying that, no, we don't want to get rid of the tents for the homeless people. We want them to just stay outside and have the choice to stay outside, even though it gets cold as fuck. I don't agree with that, just because, yes, there are shelters as options, but a lot of those shelters are unsafe up to the brim in terms of people who attend them. And, you know, there's all that stuff, especially women's shelters and family shelters. Excuse me. So I think Eric Adams is a bullshitter to the max. COVID.
I mean, you know, he's a politician. He's got to say what he's got to say.
And a pig. But I was at a show with him, technically speaking.
So you're best friends with him?
Yeah, my name is Eric Adams.
Oh, okay. Can you do your best Eric Adams impression?
I got you. Hey. No. Hey, I'm Eric Adams.
Okay.
Pretty good, right?
I love the way you pull back from that, like that surprised you.
Hold on.
Like,
hey, I'm Eric Adams.
That first time you surprised yourself. You're like, oh shit.
Maybe I am Eric Adams.
Oh shit.
I wanna read what my friend posted. If I'm gonna ask him for permission, and if he allows me, I'll post his Instagram here, or at least the post that he put up without his name, because I really respect his opinion. He's a very intellectual individual, and hopefully we'll have him on the show in the future. He wrote, New York City is becoming more a police state day by day, not like it hasn't been already. Cops are vilifying black and brown folks, all under the rhetoric that you're making the city a safer place. For who? For the white people who own property? All of you who are complaining about homeless people looking to them as the problem don't even realize that's the same rhetoric racists use as justification for their racism. If you think homelessness is the problem for why our city is not safe, honestly, you can suck my dick. You're cherry-picking incidents that a few homeless people do and applying that to all homeless people. And now we have cops going on a power trip, kicking out our homeless neighbors with nowhere to go. The city as a whole, anyone with that mindset needs to do better. Y'all the same people spewing that we need more cops, when in reality, if more cops meant a safer city, we would be the safest city in the world.
I mean, I something that kind of brings up, or I remember seeing online, was someone else kind of posting that it's like if the New York police was its own army, it'd be like one of the largest armies in the nation. Or in the world, but it definitely just kind of brings up that question or just kind of going back again to what I was saying of that priorities just kind of are out of whack, and that clearly the right money isn't being spent in the right way. But I mean, pretty well said for that guy.
Oh no, he said it perfectly, and I was like, damn. No, but it's interesting, and he very well said, and I hope that I did it justice by reading aloud. I'm seeing it right now. I just Googled which state has the most police officers, right? And I'm trying to figure out when this article was released, but from what I see right now, one says California has 76,000, but actually by 2022 on the second website, it says New York has 125,000 cops. So we gotta definitely figure out those numbers, correctly, because I don't want to just throw out this or that. But I agree. And again, if you are looking at this video and saying, oh, I'm defending cops or this or that, or you're defending cops or this or that, it's just, we aren't cops too, and these are people who have lives as well. And they're obviously good cops and bad cops. It's just a hard situation. My main point of it all is that, excuse me, oh, did you burp? You heard the burp on the mic?
Not really.
Oh, shit. I heard it in my brain. My point overall is that we should all be protesting the MTA and stop abiding their terrible conditions. I hate that we have to all take the train and have people that we don't know or know get hurt, get sexually harassed, get recorded, people masturbating in front of women, people getting robbed, people getting randomly punched. Some lady that got shit smeared in her face not too long ago. Right nearby here in LIC in Queens Plaza, somebody got hit in the face with a hammer. They're now blind in that eye. I mean, if you could write a book about the things in the subway that happen that are violent, you'd finish your book within a month.
I mean, depends how long you want the book. that could be an ongoing project.
Yeah, man. It just sucks. And fuck Frank James. Can we say it at the same time?
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Fuck Frank James. And let's say Frankie's the best. And 3, 2, 1. Frankie's
Frank.
the best.
Wait, what were we saying again?
God damn it.
I'm so sorry. Did I mess it up?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, man. Pretty good first topic, I gotta say.
Yeah, man. And hold on, let me see. Nah, you know what? That's pretty much all it is. Because at the end, I'm really interested in how the perspective of Eric Adams would change in the near future. I wonder if at all it would change or this or that. I don't know. I just think that I don't know why he became a mayor in the first place. All I want to say is that New York City protested cops so much, and then we elected one. Dumbasses, you know what I mean? What? You know, I know the other competition wasn't amazing, but yeah, dumb. You know, for those who voted Eric Adams, respectfully.
This is why you should vote Frankie.
No, I'm running next year.
Oh, you're gonna run?
Even though there's no elections next year, I'm gonna run.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually run for mayor.
You're like, is this not what they mean?
I'm running.
I feel like I deserve it because I'm the only one actually running here.
Eric Adams. It's just I'm very interested and damn, bro, damn. I wonder what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfolding story. We're gonna see what happens next. I mean, we'll always bring up some updates on the show.
Oh yeah,
here,
for
if
sure.
anything, any big updates.
Yeah, man.
But I mean that's mostly everything in terms of like the subway shooting and everything that's gone down at that.
I looked down just to look up. I thought you were gonna paper on me. I'm terrified.
Yeah. How's it feel? You're looking down the barrel of a gun, bitch.
It don't feel that good, Javi. I'm nervous as shit.
You're just waiting any moment for it.
I've been trying to close up my face to see the sweat dripping down my fucking. Like any moment now. Scared, man. I got reflexes like a fucking cat, though. Yeah, bro. I'm fucking nice with that shit, bro. They call me Reflex.
They call you Reflex.
EarthMind and Reflexes.
It's the lamest superhero name.
Yo, I looked at your head just now.
Here it comes from above. Reflex Man.
Ready to react.
You never throw a punch. You just react. Oh.
Stop and Reflex. I can't. I'm just avoiding the inevitable. You might get hit. I won't. I'm the hero we don't deserve.
Wow. That's the dumbest shit we've said in a while.
Reflex comic book coming soon, 2023. Be on the lookout. Brought to you by Eric Adams.
Oh shit, man.
That's fucking funny as fuck.
Oh man.
Anyways.
But moving on to our second topic. I'll read you off this headline again.
All right.
New York Lieutenant Governor Benjamin resigns following campaign finance indictment.
Woo!
And just got to point out real quick, this also happened on Tuesday, April 12th.
Conspiracy.
So,
Can't you wait? Aren't you excited for the conspiracies that are going to come out about Frank James?
oh, probably.
There
man.
has to be conspiracies, right?
I mean, with his YouTube videos and stuff like that, I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to start connecting this and that to that and this and whatever the case is. You know, if you see this one video that he took in 2020, then you can show how that's connected to Eric Adams' dick in this fake photo that we thought was fake, but clearly it's real because Avril Lavigne posted it on her Instagram.
And Benjamin Button wasn't that good of a movie. And Frank James actually did 9/11. How did his passport survive the jet fuel? How? George Bush only has one testicle.
And that's our TED Talk. Welcome to Earth Mind Conspiracy, bitches.
I free Eric Adams. I mean, free Frank James. He did nothing wrong yet. Innocent until proven guilty.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, man.
Uh-huh.
Technically speaking, he pled not. I don't know if he pled not guilty, but just kidding.
I'll tell you who pleaded not guilty.
Who?
this Lieutenant Governor Benjamin guy.
His bitch ass. All right, so actually, I remember I sent you the story, but I didn't look into it at all. I didn't read the article or nothing. I didn't think you were gonna bring it up. So, fuck, man, I'm on my knees.
Well, I'll just give you a little disclaimer.
Okay,
it's not the juiciest story.
Yeah,
it's not rare or anything like that. It's well done.
Oh,
It's well done, State.
it's basic.
I got a nice quote by the end of the story that we'll get to that kind of sums everything up.
Okay.
But to basically get into it, like I mentioned, this happened on April 12th,
April
same
12th.
day of the shooting.
Okay.
And basically, this dude resigned hours after federal prosecutors unsealed an indictment implicating him in a brazen scheme to enrich his political campaigns with illegal donations.
Okay.
So basically, he was using illegal donations for his political campaigns.
What's an illegal donation?
So I'll get to that.
Okay. Sorry.
So you better fucking be.
Patience.
And something to kind of note is that Governor Kathy Hochul selected him to be her lieutenant governor less than a year ago.
And remind us, all you motherfuckers that praise Cuomo.
Well, that's definitely been kind of a topic for sure because before I point that out, basically what's going on is that this indictment is a 5-count indictment.
Damn.
They're charging Mr. Benjamin, saying that while as state senator, he had conspired to direct $50,000 in state funds to Harlem real estate developers charity.
Gotcha.
In exchange, that developer would have gathered thousands in illegal contributions to Mr. Benjamin's 2020 Senate campaign and his failed 2021 bid for New York City comptroller.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mentioned, he pleaded not guilty.
Of course.
He's like, I didn't do none of this.
Me?
What are you talking about?
Me?
I work for Governor Kathy Hochul. You see how much of a nice guy I am? He was if I remember correctly, I could be spewing bullshit on this, but I think he's the first black man in this position.
Oh, damn. That sucks.
So, because I remember
as a precedent, I don't mean that sucks that he's black.
Yeah, because I remember
really gotta clarify.
I remember seeing as I was reading the article for this and stuff and figuring everything out is that it just kind of makes Kathy Hochul look bad because in comparison to Cuomo and stuff like that, like if you don't know what happened with Cuomo,
sexual allegations,
you should look into it.
Italian.
So
I mean, both made eye contact. We're like, it's time. It's a time. I think our least popular audience will be Italians, or our most.
We'll never get a following in Italy because of this.
We'll never get one of those finger things. The little finger thing. Hold on, wait.
And we're back like Jack.
We never left, but we're back. So Lieutenant Benjamin, right?
Lieutenant Government Benjamin.
Nice. Lieutenant Government Benjamin.
So, like I mentioned, he pleaded not guilty. Amongst other things, a 5-count indictment was that he was also accused of offering to help the developer, which I mentioned. His name is Gerald McDowell.
Okay.
He offered to help him to obtain a zoning variance if he made a $15,000 donation to a separate fund for state Senate Democrats.
Wait. Say that again, but explain it to me as you say it. I don't really know what you just said.
So basically, what amongst the things that he was charged for, one of those things was that he was offering that developer, which I mentioned, the one that was gonna like direct like $50,000 into that charity. Yeah. Basically, he was gonna help this guy get a zoning variance where he could basically put up a building if he wanted to.
Okay.
If that guy made a $15,000 donation to a separate fund that's for state Senate Democrats.
Okay. So it would be for him ultimately, no?
Yeah. So it's bribery at the end of the day.
Wow.
So what came from that is that McDowell was arrested on federal charges in November, and he also pleaded not guilty. Yeah. But he kind of spilled the beans on things here and there.
Can't spill the beans.
Yeah, he fucking spilled them all over the place, man. It was a real mess. He was like Kevin when he spilled the chili. If you don't know what I just said, then you don't deserve to know what I just said.
I made my favorite chili. That's the worst Kevin impression ever.
That was a gremlin right there. I made my favorite chili.
That's really good. What the fuck? What the fuck? Whoa. That was really good. Do that shit again, man. Hold on. Let's I'm gonna look at the script.
I'm not gonna recreate it well now.
That was perfect. I'm like, this is not even a stunt for the show, or whatever. Way better than mine, first of all. Let me try mine again. I made my favorite. Go, you go.
I made my favorite chili.
Yo, you killed that shit, bro. Holy fuck. In the supplementary, I will put up that one and yours. Honestly,
nice.
That was really fucking good. I had my mindset of doing an impression later. I'm just not gonna top that. Let's continue with Lieutenant Benjamin. Wow.
Anyways, pretty much, this could prove to be, like I mentioned, a serious political liability for Governor Kathy Hochul.
Yeah,
as this was her number 2, and kind of like, this guy was her second in charge. So so now they're trying to find a replacement. Technically, they could kind of put anyone in replacement, but they could also wait till they have a voting for it in a few months from now.
Okay,
so it's kind of up in the air what they're gonna do with that. But another thing that the indictment also accused Mr. Benjamin of was that he also was falsifying campaign donation forms, misleading city authorities, and giving false info as part of a background check to become lieutenant governor last year.
Oh, wow. So he's been bullshitting just everything.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy on so many levels that he can do all that.
Yeah, that he got this far.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure Donald Trump, a lot of celebrities and not celebrities, just politicians. What's the difference, right? Popularity races. Damn, bro, that's just a whole bunch of shit to just bullshit and just get further on. So what was the last thing you just said, just to refresh my memory?
So...
Cuss tequila.
So like I mentioned, that the indictment also accused Mr. Benjamin of falsifying campaign donation forms, misleading city authorities, and giving false info as part of a background check to become lieutenant governor.
Wow. That's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And this guy was elected.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just show up.
So that $50,000 check thing that I was mentioning before, basically, he took out a $50,000 grant with the developer McDowell.
Yeah.
And they didn't make it public for almost 2 months. And when they did, Mr. Benjamin made a big cardboard check out of it for a charity golf tournament. And the whole event was documented on McDowell's Facebook page.
Wow. Wow. Dickhead, bro. Just a dickhead. And I know, like, joining the charity and all that stuff is kind of, let's just say, fishy in itself. A lot of I know I said this multiple times in the past podcast, but people that are rich, especially like Elon Musk and all that stuff, will donate to get a tax break.
I forgot my shot.
Oh man, let's take a shot. Actually, I wanted a rest in peace for today. He died not too long ago, like 2 days ago. Gilbert Gottfried. Okay, you know who that is?
Sounds super familiar.
Let's see if I could do the impression. He talked like this. I cannot do it. I wish I was a better impressionist, but he was
the comedian
who was the voice for the Affleck Doug.
Okay.
Yeah, he passed recently. He was only 67, if I'm not mistaken. So rest in peace to that motherfucker, because he definitely made somebody laugh at some point. And yeah. But tequila, man.
It's not bad though.
Not bad. Not great. Just tequila. I actually wanted to bring up, because it reminded me, there's I don't know if you know who Wyclef Jean is.
No.
This is perfect for the supplementary. He essentially, let me just read the first paragraph. Back in 2010, it was reported that criminal investigations had been opened into Jean's Haitian aid organization. Let's see. Yili, Haiti. That's where it happened. I forgot what happened in Haiti at that moment. It was you remember some shit happened in Haiti a long time ago. So Wyclef Jean is a musical artist who opened up a charity for Haiti. Despite taking in around $16 million in donation, the charity was closed 2 years later and amid accusations of fraud. So It was alleged that he spent $9 million of that $60 million on office space workers' salaries and other expenses. Other expenses. And he paid himself $100,000 to perform in a charity concert for the organization.
Wow.
And fucking crazy. The reason I know about that, he denied it. But how you pay yourself $100,000 to perform for your own charity? Dickhead. We got 2 dickheads of the day.
I couldn't find a picture of this big check, but if you can for the supplementary, that'd be so great.
I will definitely. I will track it down. He probably took it down though. No, I can't. This is just a sidetrack. What do you think about YouTube taking down Frank James' videos for making all those threats and everything?
Well, I think that's a pretty good conversation for what we'll get into later with Elon Musk and Twitter.
Okay, cool. That's noted. Okay, let me know when you finish this story because not that I'm rushing at all. I want to hear what you have to say. I just have breaking news.
Oh, okay.
Kind of breaking news. Not really, but Brian just sent to me.
Okay. I hate that guy.
Brian's breaking news. New segment. We're going to input Brian's voice here.
Oh my God.
Nice.
But to kind of bring everything to note with this story, his lawyers say that he is resigning, like I mentioned to begin with.
I respect that,
and that he's spending his suspending his campaign to focus his energies on explaining in court why his actions were laudable, not criminal.
Dickhead. I just, man, I feel. Well,
they also said there was nothing inappropriate about the $50,000 grant. And that Mr. Benjamin looks forward to when this case is finished so he can rededicate himself to public service.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm Frankie. I support this message. Bleep out my last name. I don't know why the fuck I'm saying my last name on the fucking podcast. Like I know you motherfuckers. But I support this message. And by the way, here's my social security number. Check out the YouTube video for my social security number. It will be up there. It will be up there. You can just Google image people that are dead social security numbers, right?
I don't know. That's the first I'm hearing that. What the fuck?
I'm guessing. Fake news. Look, at the end of the day, that shit is confusing as fuck just because it's hard to pinpoint what the fuck is happening. But this guy frauded on many levels, right? He finessed the system.
It's definitely kind of newsy news.
Yeah, numbers and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely not the easiest thing to follow for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that this happened the same day of the shooting, I'm like, that's weird.
Man.
But,
what are you going to say? Sorry.
The last thing I'll say to this story, and we can just talk more about it.
Nice.
But Damian Williams, U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, summed it up best. He said, "This is a simple story of corruption."
Yeah. Not so simple for me, but it makes me think of a couple of things. But one thing it makes me think of is that when it comes down to conspiracies, and I think there will be conspiracies with Frank James for sure, because if there's one thing conspiracy theorists love, is to not accept the truth and just make anything out of nothing. But again, I think that when it comes to this, it's kind of interesting how that happened in the same day as this corruption story coming out. Mm-hmm. And it makes you think of 9/11 and how much events took place during 9/11. We'll throw that in the supplementary because there's a shitload of conspiracies, but usually when a disaster like that happens, a lot of stocks are sold or bought, this or that. There's like news corruption. People say that 9/11 happened to distract from the news stories and stuff. And it also makes me think of COVID vaccines, where Johnson & Johnson sold all their stock. I got to fact check this because it could be just a shit post that people would just put out just to spread a conspiracy that isn't true, that they think is. Mm-hmm. But Johnson & Johnson, or whoever was the CEO, sold all their stock before the blood clot stories came out. So I don't necessarily think this lieutenant guy was that major of a character to go and cause this Frank James person to do so. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
man?
I mean, that's mostly what's going on for the second story. Like I said, well done steak. Not super rare.
Needs salt, pepper.
Needs,
unfortunately, A1 sauce.
Don't get me started on the A1
I don't use
sauce,
that shit.
man.
I don't use that shit. Javi.
Don't get me started on the A1 sauce, man.
Oh,
You're
man.
wearing an A hat. I'm thinking of A1.
The first one is the Diamondbacks hat.
I know, but I see an A, and I don't care about sports, so I'm gonna call it an A.
Let's go Mets. Even though y'all lost me so much money on DraftKings. Fuck you, Mets. Just kidding. They win the World Series. Man, I don't know how to tell people this. Don't bet on DraftKings. You will lose a lot of money. I've lost so much money. I've won a lot, and I thought I was God, and I lost so much. I was at a bar. I bet I think $170, and I lost back to back. And I was like, who the fuck do I think I am to be betting all this money? But then when you win, you feel so fucking good. Anyway,
that's Frankie's little crisis corner.
please send me money.
We need to start that Patreon now.
Patreon on the way soon. I wanted to read a story that Brian just sent me. Me and Brian send each other show all the time, and this is interesting because it comes down to it's New Jersey, but people kind of correlate New Jersey and New York, even though they're completely different, but they're very close. Let me read you. I'm gonna read you the whole thing just because this is really interesting.
Okay.
Even to the point where I should have brought this up next week, but tequila. Headline: 2 New Jersey inmates pregnant by trans inmate at state prison for woman.
What?
Yep. Let me read. This post was sent through Baller Alert. I stopped following them because their headlines are ridiculous, but this is interesting. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to read it to you. Two inmates at the only state prison for women in New Jersey are pregnant after having sex with a transgender inmate. Excuse me. Leave that in, Javi. The Department of Corrections told NewJersey.com that the anonymous inmates at the Edna Mahan Correctional Facility became pregnant after having consensual sexual relationships with another incarcerated person. New Jersey passed a law in 2021 allowing inmates to be confined according to the desired gender identity. The policy was approved as part of a settlement in a civil rights suit brought by a woman who had spent 18 months in a men's prison. Over 800 inmates, including 27 trans women, are housed in the Jersey Correctional Facility. The correctional facility does not require transgender women to undergo gender reassignment surgery in order to be housed there. Excuse myself for not talking to the mics. My bad, I just realized that way. That's interesting as fuck.
Okay.
And I don't really have a stance on it just because it came through just now. But interesting. And
This is a lot to take in.
Benjamin and Frank James and trans women. I will say this. That topic is a sensitive one, and I respect it wholeheartedly. I make a lot of jokes, and I still will make jokes about it. Like, I don't care as much, But I will say that all should be considered. I think what you want to do with your body is perfectly fine. I really do mean that. Live your life. Do whatever the fuck you want. But shit was going to get like this regardless with situation just as that. I also remember reading a story. This is a little... how can I say, wedge topic, I guess.
Okay.
Little bonus topic. Again, I don't want to, this is a sensitive topic for a lot of people. But I do remember reading a story of a woman at a spa. She went with her daughter. And she was, you remember, we talked about this, right?
We've talked about
this.
Let's
bring it back. Because it kind of does come around this, and let's have a discussion. Because for those new listeners that are only tuning into this episode, the woman was with her daughter. And
we haven't even talked about it on the show. We've just talked about it.
Oh, really?
And like outside the show.
Oh, nice. Oh, so let's talk about it. It's perfect time to bring it up. Let's comment on the jail thing afterwards.
Okay.
But to recap, a woman was, and correct me if I'm wrong at any point, but don't hold the paper at me.
I don't even know where that fucking thing went. There it is.
Anyway, the woman was with her daughter at the spa. And she said that she left early and she went to the person at the front desk, right? And she said, I do not want to be here because there's a trans woman in the spa area who unclothed herself and her penis was hanging out, right?
Mm.
And the spa workers were saying that, well, she identifies as a woman, so she feels comfortable enough to do that. And so we allow that here. And the woman said, "My daughter is so young. How are you allowing this person to expose themselves in front of her?" And it's a hard situation because then you get into the area of like bathrooms. And I mean, I'm in the airport when I can be, where I love to be.
You love to be in the bathroom?
I love to be in the airport. Well, I love to fly around.
You love to be in the airport bathroom.
That's why I travel hard.
Frankie's Crisis Corner in the airport bathroom.
Betting on DraftKings on the Mets. No, I love to travel and I end up in bathrooms in the airport. But you see some pretty weird shit in the bathroom. Man, I saw some disgusting shit, explicit, whatever. I went to the bathroom, went to the toilet, and right at the brim where your like ass cheeks touch was a splatter of blood. Yeah. Like somebody sneezed blood through their asshole on the. I was like, ew, and I went to the next toilet. I always shit before a flight. I recommend it if you don't, and I hope
that air pressure will just fuck you up, man.
Hell yeah!
You'll shit your pants the second you go up in the air, man.
But I consider that situation. First of all, a bathroom is a bathroom. Like you should just be okay. But I also think that there are scenarios where some men. I mean, you ever hear that joke where, like, oh, I hate when I'm in the bathroom and they could see me through the little crevice of the door? Imagine that with a perverted man to a woman or a perverted woman to a man, which is not as common, of course, to be fair, completely. I just think, I agree with bathrooms should be for everybody. I just think that it's a discussion to have, especially with that spa situation and this situation.
I mean, I remember when we talked about the spa situation, what I said in response to that was that while she might be young, it's also something to consider is that in the day and age that we live in today, like that's
the norm.
That's going to be the norm.
For sure. For sure.
So to kind of say like, how could you expose my child to something like this?
Yeah.
In reality, let's say 30 years from now, this is going to be happening anywhere.
I agree. I agree for sure.
And so the way that I see it is just kind of like, well, I get that we're going to have some people that are going to be a little against the grain and like a little apprehensive in terms of being like, I guess, progressive in that sense. But I just think like it's kind of inevitable.
I think it's interesting. I think it goes both ways, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I agree with that. I know I said I just did, but I also know that I won't say a lot. I just will say that there are plenty of trans women who don't choose to remove their penis. They either keep it because of financial issues or they just, don't. And that's where I think it rightfully gets into a debate area where I think we should rely on the right politicians where there aren't a lot of to discuss that. Because I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think that situation can be, what's it called? Not manipulated, but taken advantage of. You know, I was walking in the street with Jonathan one time. Sorry for not throwing on the bus, throwing ourselves on the bus. We were going home and we walked on Junction in Queens. And there's a lot of, let's say, transgender women. I won't necessarily say, there's just a lot of prostitutes in Corona at that time. It was late. I was young. And they flashed us. And Jonathan saw most than I did. But I mean, in a realistic sense, that was inappropriate for them to do to us. Jonathan was really upset. I was drunk and didn't see nothing. But apparently they showed themselves to us. And it was men who are, cross-dressing or being a trans woman. I don't know their lives. And who's to say, in a world where we look at men who do a lot of these sexual crimes and harassment and stuff like that, when do these tendencies stop being looked at as sexual harassment or flirtatious or whatever you want to express it as? And does it change whether you're a woman or a man?
Oh, I mean, I don't think it's going to change too much on whether you're a woman or a man. Yeah. I think, thankfully, like in a scenario like what happened to you and Jonathan, a lot of people would agree that that's just kind of, they
wrong.
Flashed you and like that's just not necessarily the most appropriate thing to do. Yeah. Like, but I always think about this movie in terms of flashing, Observe and Report with Seth Rogen.
Oh, I think I watched that a long time ago. and if I may say, for any of you getting too butthurt about the topic, I think sex is too taboo anyway in America. And I don't mean to sound too obnoxious like, in America. I just think that the topic of sex is so taboo that all of y'all got to get off your, what is it, high horse?
High horse.
And just calm the fuck down. You know, just really, it's not that big of a deal. It is a huge big of a deal when it comes to your rights being diminished or your opportunity being, you know, dismissed. But I also think that there's a lot of places in the country, in the world, that don't look at sex as taboo as America does. And that's a fact.
I mean, it's true. And in Europe culture, like in European culture, like sex is very much more explored and very much more expressed through art forms and things like that.
I agree. So I'm not trying to speak on my perspective. I just think that there's a lot to be said based off how people express themselves politically in today's day and age with social media and with their lives.
Yeah,
but observe and report with Seth Rogen.
No, I'm not even gonna get into it because this has been Tequila Corner.
Facts. I just think that, you know, we should. Did you throw it?
Yeah, I did. It landed right on your mic.
Yeah, reflex, man. For those that don't know what the fuck just happened. Oh, some trans woman just came and flashed, and I avoided it by looking away. No, just kidding. Hoppy through the paper, and my amazing reflexes deflected it.
If I threw it a little faster, if I didn't do such a wind up,
yeah, you winded up crazy, bro. You basically went whoop, throw. No, tell me the observe and report thing. I kind of want to get into that. It's Friday.
It's just a dumb movie. Seth Rogen and some dude flashing himself in a mall. And
this is a young Seth Rogen movie.
Yeah,
and he has a trench coat, the cliche trench coat, and he flashes himself. That's a good movie. And he makes a tent in the aisles.
I don't remember a single thing about that movie except the premise of it.
That's a good movie. I like that one. It's a fun movie.
It's a silly movie.
Oh, but coming back to it, what do you think about the jail situation with the person getting impregnated, which, by the way, is through consensual sex? I feel like that's the main important thing, that it wasn't rape or it wasn't this or that. It was consensual. But it is also interesting.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting topic. I would love to hear more about it. Like, we could get into like a whole topic about it next episode if we want to.
Ooh.
But
probably not though. It's just I don't want to touch that one with the 6-foot pole. I
mean, you know, if it's consensual, it's like I don't know what much there is to say about it, because it's like, you know, it seems like they both wanted it, so it's like, hey, they just fucking like.
I think more so just if it was. And it isn't. I'm not trying to make it into it. It is just in the scenarios that if it comes down to rape or this and that, that's when things in the waters can be very testy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's my biggest concern. And I mean, and personally speaking, I've spoken to a lot of women that have been in situations with like gay men or transsexual men, and they're touched and, you know, like just, you know, felt up on just because they feel they have the authority because they are trans or gay. And I think that's a topic where I don't really want to get into myself, but it's interesting where the border is, or the borderline is, between what's appropriate to do or not. Even if it's a woman to a woman, trans woman to a woman, which same thing, you know. I just think that consensuality is the most important thing. And that seems to be not a thing so much when it comes to those two groups of people, in terms of women who have that opinion, aka like J.K. Rowling and Dave Chappelle feel that trans women shouldn't have a right to speak on biological women, you know, which is interesting. So that's just throwing it out there because I feel like that's also going to come across in the future, you know. And I do think that pedophiles or perverts will just pretend to, you know, to be of that gender just to take advantage of those situations. You know,
I mean, and you know,
which is unfortunate.
What can you do? I mean, all I'll say is that, you know, consent is fucking hot. You should.
Consent is the shit.
I got a pin that says something like consent is hot or something
and
like that.
And it is, and that's out of all the posts that have opinions, you know, like when it says, you know, to anybody that's touched a person without their consent, you know, go fuck yourself, like for real. And I really want to really throw it out there that there's a lot of things I joke about, but I don't joke about like trans, you know, and all that stuff. And it just goes down to anything you do in your life. Like, do whatever the fuck you want, really. But that stuff to me is something that I think we're still evolving with in terms of barbaric mindset and just new mindset, you know? Because you have to understand, not you, just everybody, that it's not new. It's always been a thing in countless amount of times in history, you know?
It's just been ignored until this point.
And neglected. And we have a lot of people who think that it's just wrong. And that's been looked at as being black, as being like gay, being Hispanic. And all those things have been overcome with just reality, you know? But it's dumb interesting. And you can't ignore the fact that it can get controversial as fuck. And we're just talking the news. Yeah.
And again, that was Tequila Corner.
Yo, facts. Most controversial episode. Number 15. Lucas.
So, last topic that we'll get into before we dive into the AMC section.
Before we get canceled.
I think we're pretty good so
far.
No,
of course. I don't give a fuck about this shit anyway.
But I'll read the headline again to you. Elon Musk, after toying with Twitter, now wants it all. So, if you've been living under a rock, if you don't know who Elon Musk is the billionaire chief executive of Tesla and SpaceX.
Yes, he is.
Tesla, the electric car company, and SpaceX, the rocket company.
Crazy times.
Crazy fucking times.
Jesus Christ.
Whoever thought that one man would own two things like that? It's like a grab bag of things. It's like he just fucking pulled into one bag and said, I'm going to own a car company. Okay, let me get back into the bag. I'm going to own, a rocket company. Oh, nice.
Just cause. I didn't know he was in Iron Man 2.
Yeah, he's in Iron Man 2.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
A little part of me, despite his opinions and stuff, he just having some fun. He was on SNL, Iron Man 2.
That's his whole life, man.
Joe Rogan, all that stuff.
It's honestly like it's Elon Musk's world, and we're just living in it.
On some real shit. You should take some notes. Jeff Bezos, Jeff Bezos. That's his last name.
Damn, you really got into that with that kiss there.
Yo! It's just funny.
With these headphones on.
It's just funny. His last name is Deadass Kisses. Like if it was an S, Jeff Kisses. That's pretty fucking funny. Anyways. Elon Musk is more of a scent. Musk.
Nah.
I'm so sorry.
But so on April 4th, last Monday, Elon Musk bought 9.2% stake in Twitter, which made him the largest shareholder of the company.
That's crazy.
He's making a bunch of tweets about it at the same time. I think his tweet when he did this was, "Oh, hi, lol."
He the type.
And immediately this brought up a lot of questions because Twitter tried to actually put him on the board, and he declined their offer.
Okay.
And because he's recently has criticized Twitter a lot for failing in his view to adhere to free speech principles.
Okay.
So that's why he declined the board seat offer, because he was like, because if he took that offer, he would have to stop talking down on Twitter.
He always has to support it, which is in itself limiting your free speech.
So that's the reason why he hasn't taken up that offer.
Yeah.
So this is where it all kind of begins. It started with him just becoming the largest shareholder, and he kind of wanted to put himself on the board through that way. They gave him an offer. He said no. And then it was kind of like, well, then what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
But like I said, he started doing this because he didn't necessarily agree with their free speech principles.
Yeah.
Because he argues users should be allowed to choose algorithms that select the tweets they see or build their own instead of relying on Twitter to curate.
Yeah, and I agree. With all social medias, for some reason, Instagram has this new feature of you get to see who you're following compared to who your favorites are, and they just get rid of a lot of stuff, and for their own reasoning, not ours, and that's weird, man.
And Elon Musk had a quote that he said at a TED conference in Vancouver, where he said, "Twitter has become has become kind of the de facto town square. So it's really important that people have the reality and the perception that they are able to speak freely within the bounds of the law.
Yeah.
And so fast forward to Wednesday night, April 13th. So this week, he said that he wanted to buy the whole company.
Yeah.
He said on Twitter, he's like, I want to buy this shit.
He said that he would, 45 billion?
So,
Million?
so he put in an unsolicited bid, which could be more than 40 billion. We don't know the exact number.
Bro, can you imagine, man? Like, if we had 40 billion, fuck this podcast. I'm just kidding.
And apparently that's not even enough. So
yeah, it's not. I don't think so. The president made that. Sorry, excuse me. Donald Trump made Twitter more valuable than it ever will be.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, so Twitter, to that response, they said that they would carefully review the proposal, but then quickly behind the scenes, like talking to the board and stuff, they told Musk that he would have to spend billions more for the company if he wanted it. And the reason, and so when this kind of came up, there were some more reasons as to why he maybe would want to take over the company and buy the company out, because Musk has fancied a decentralized Twitter and has fancied the idea of turning it into a private company.
Okay. And at that point, you could do whatever you want because it's a quote unquote private company. Yeah. For the public. Interesting.
So that's kind of been his whole thing now with his motive behind doing all these things. And it's just really interesting because a lot of Twitter employees have spoken out against Musk because a lot of Twitter employees are actually not in agreement with this.
Yeah, of course.
They're arguing that he would shift the company culture and damage its efforts to control problems like bullying, threats, and misinformation on the platform. And others have noted he isn't always for free speech because Musk has cracked down on outspoken Tesla employees in the past.
Oh, wow.
And there has been one instance where some kid was able to basically create some bot or some algorithm to basically track wherever Musk was flying to. Oh, shit. Like basically track his private jet. Yeah. And Musk like DM'd him, was like, can you stop doing this? This is like a risk to my safety and whatever. Yeah. And it's like, you know, this kid is posting this shit on Twitter, like a free speech platform. So it's like, that's where the hypocrisy kind of comes, where it's like, he wants to he was trying to regulate this one kid from doing this one thing. Yeah. But he wants Twitter to still be a free platform.
That's interesting only because when you think of free speech, I don't think there should be limits to it. But I think that when you come across somebody's safety, what I'm trying to say, like stalking, right? Like say you're stalking somebody, but not only you're stalking them, you're like, hey, they're at this location at this time. Before I comment on that, I think of the two things we talked about in the past. When Seth Rogen was trying to reach out to the CEO of Twitter and say there are a bunch of people who are anti-Semites and they have a major Twitter following, and he's asking them to do something about the many anti-Semite profiles that are spewing hate on Jewish people and pushing it even to the point where the most Jews killed in one major attack at the, was it Growing Tree something? It was a where do Jewish people congregate?
I'm not sure.
I forget what it's called, but it's a certain church for Jewish people. Let's just say that because we don't know the word right now. And every time Seth Rogen reached out, he was like, the CEO was like, hey, it's not that simple. We have to abide everybody and this and that, even though the people that Seth Rogen was trying to get off Twitter, or at least prevent their following from growing, was spewing anti-Semite, ideology. And then I think about the Joe Rogan episode that we had, when we discussed him, that the doctor, I forget his name, but when he himself is under the president's, like, not command, but when they're talking about vaccine and health throughout the U.S., he's on the board of that. He's spoken to presidents about the vaccine, assisted it, and I think just because I don't have this logged down my notes right now, he assisted with, AIDS crisis and HIV and all that stuff.
I think I remember you mentioning that.
And he was kicked off Twitter for giving his opinion on the vaccine, but he's reached out to Twitter many times and they've never responded as to why he was technically kicked off Twitter, even though he didn't spread no false information or anything like that. They have yet to get back to him, and he's suing because he should not be limited to what he's saying
So there's definitely been some talk of that because
which if I may say, I think those two things are very different from exposing where somebody is going to and coming from, especially somebody as high profile. Because what if somebody is doing that's Joe Biden?
Yeah, I mean, so there's definitely been a lot of talk about that with this conversation going on because a lot of conservatives and things like that are very much so on this side or this idea of Elon Musk buying Twitter because they're like, to them, like they're kind of like, well, if this happens and I'm back on the platform. Yeah. So because that has been happening, people getting barred from Twitter over the last couple of years, well, even last like few years, like ever since Trump like became president and stuff like that.
Even Trump being barred from Twitter.
Yeah. So it's just, it's an interesting conversation that's arising from this whole instance between Elon Musk and Twitter. Yeah.
But who is the CEO of Twitter?
I didn't get the exact CEO. I know that Jack Dorsey used to be the CEO, if I remember correctly.
I just Googled it. I don't know it myself. I just Googled it. So apparently the CEO of Twitter, the CEO of Twitter is Parag Agrawal. Agrawal. It used to be Jack Dorsey, which is who Seth Rogen was communicating with.
Yeah, and Jack Dorsey, from what I saw, he only has about like a 2.3% stake in the shareholders. So comparatively to Elon Musk, like he's just been completely dwarfed by this point.
I just think that it's interesting when it comes down to how much attention somebody with a big name gets. When I'm sure that when you ask people that question, who is the CEO of Twitter, nobody will know who Jack Dorsey or what's his name again? Let me just see real quick. It's right here. Parag Agrawal. And he replaced Jack Dorsey around the time of November 29, 2021. Sorry. So that's not too long ago. And that's interesting, man. I think that I don't really have an opinion. I don't use Twitter, you know.
I don't really use Twitter. I use it more. I use it during the times of Comic-Con because a lot of comic artists and comic writers use Twitter
to communicate to their fans and stuff like that.
To communicate to their fans. So usually during Comic-Con, I use Twitter a lot because that's when they're like, "Yeah, I'm having a signing at this booth right now." I'm like,
yeah.
So
interesting.
That's when I use Twitter a lot. But I mean, to get back into it real quick. Just today on April 15th, Twitter had a counterattack to this whole bid from Elon Musk. Yeah. So they're actually using a strategy that was invented a while back to repel corporate raiders in an attempt to block a takeover bid. And this is what they call a poison pill.
I saw that headline. I didn't know what that meant though.
And so what this poison pill is in terms of like market speak is that the market would flood with new shares, immediately reducing Musk's stake, his 9.2% stake, and making it more difficult to buy the company.
It would make him have to pay more actually, right?
Yes.
That's kind of schemish though, right?
Well,
isn't that kind of leeching money off Elon Musk?
It's not necessarily leeching money off of him as much as it is just trying to ask him for more money. And so
that's what I mean though. Because I think Twitter in itself will be worth more so much in the future.
But they don't want him to buy Twitter is the thing. That this is a counterattack. They're making it too high of an offer for even Elon Musk.
But think about what you're saying. They don't want him to buy, right? But they'll rise the price up higher in order for him to buy it.
So he won't. Well, that's what they're banking on because
I think he will
because even in the article that I was reading, like financial supervisors and things like that, they said that this would force him to negotiate directly with the board, which historically has not ended well. And that even for someone of someone's wealth as Elon Musk, this would be financially disruptive even to him.
I may be completely miseducated on this. I think that's not a bunch of bullshit. What I'm trying to say is that if he gets Twitter, I think Twitter is going to be worth so much more in the future, right? And the money that Elon Musk has is probably not known to people right now. Even with the whole Joe Rogan thing, people think he made $100 million off the Spotify contract, and he made a whole bunch more. You know, and it's all this indiscretion. There's a bunch of people that are the richest people in the world who have not trillions, but billions of dollars that aren't as famous as Jeff Kisses, Elon Musk, and all these real Bill Gates. You know, these are the people that we know because they're major in these companies. But the real rich people, like the ones in Dubai and stuff, like what are they doing with their money? Rockefeller, all these people like that have crazy money. We just don't pay attention because they're not as rich. And this is just like my freelance thought, because again, I'm not educated in this area, but I think as a wise person, to buy Twitter is genius in terms of making your money back instantly relative to the, applying how long it will take to make your money back. I don't think it'll be that long.
I mean, I think I could be wrong in this. I feel like this would be pretty good for the supplementary, but I could be wrong in saying that I think running social media platforms is actually not profitable.
Depending on the social media platform. I think TikTok will die out soon.
Well, I think because you can still run a company without being profitable. Look at Netflix.
Yeah.
They don't make any money.
They're leaning towards the video games.
I mean, they've been saying that for years.
No, they actually have the games now.
Oh, they have games now?
So I also saw the article and I was like, when are they going to do this? I either was in Texas or coming back when I was trying to download movies for the plane. And I was like, what is this? And if you look now on Netflix, there's games kind of like on the App Store where you kind of look through it. And there's a bunch of games being made for Netflix. And I think eventually, the reason I don't think it'll succeed as much is I think of GameFly. You remember GameFly?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's kind of what they wanted to do. That's what I mean years ago.
But it evolved.
I feel like no one remembers this, but I remember because
Netflix used to mail you DVDs.
Well, no. I feel like people remember that, but I remember during that era when Netflix still used to be a mail by service product, they at some point fancied the idea of completely switching their company name to like games. Quickie or something like that.
I don't remember that.
And that they were going to incorporate video games into their thing. I remember seeing the email about that. And then a week later, there was so much backlash where they were like, okay, we get it. All right, we're sticking to Netflix.
But that's more so in the time of when they were considering that, as opposed to, let's say, I'm playing Fallout 4 now, right? What is that on?
Game Pass.
Exactly. And explain Game Pass to people that don't know what Game Pass is.
If you don't know what Game Pass is, you are slacking.
you are. I paid for Destroy All Humans and it was already free to me.
I already had access to it.
And not free. It's basically a monthly service where you pay about like $20, $18,
it's like
$16,
$15 a month.
And you get access to, let's just say, more than 30 video games, because it's more than that.
It's more than 100.
Yeah, more than 100. And popular games, not just these shitty, boring ass games.
You get day one titles from Xbox and things like that.
And I would not be surprised, you heard it here first, if Netflix and Game Pass collaborated, or Netflix and whatever PlayStation has collaborated, because
I mean, honestly, that would kind of make sense for Microsoft's trajectory.
Yeah, or literally anything that hosts Netflix as an app in their own devices.
I actually never mind because Microsoft has their own streaming service called xCloud, which is a part of Game Pass.
What the fuck is xCloud? Oh, I didn't know it was a part of Game Pass.
Yeah, so if you pay for Game Pass Ultimate, you technically have xCloud.
Oh, but Xbox is incorporated with Microsoft.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like it's two branches from the same tree.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing. It's not even the two branches. It's just the same thing.
But I mean that Netflix is going to captivate on that eventually.
No, but what I'm saying is that they won't go to Netflix because they already have their own streaming service.
Yeah, for sure.
Because xCloud within Game Pass, you can use xCloud on your phone, on your tablet, on your PC. So you don't necessarily need to download the games or have a console to play these games. You can just stream them.
I just think somebody else would captivate on them, because in the future, I don't think it's just
there are already other competitors.
Yeah. And just how I think Amazon has its own video game thing, Luna. Facebook has Metaverse, and And I just think of PlayStation, how Sony, right? They're gonna do their own
just
thing.
Upgraded their PlayStation Plus tier and all that stuff.
Even if it is with Netflix, it'll be some form of service that'll captivate on the idea that.
I mean, Netflix will definitely get into gaming.
Yeah.
How they do it?
They already have. If you check your Netflix on your computer, it's bro. I didn't think it would happen either because I heard them talking mad shit, and I'm like, where's it happening, bro? And when I saw the games, I should have played some of them, man. I should just to be like. But
just to talk shit on the show. Yo, these games fucking suck ass.
But if I'm not mistaken, there were definitely at least 10 for sure. And I feel that in terms of iPhone apps and Android trash, they were, the original games. What are some original games on the apps before? I think a Candy Crush, but that's pretty newish compared to the old ones. There's a bunch of them, right?
Plants vs. Zombies.
Which is a great game.
Subway Surfer, Temple Run.
And those are kind of advanced compared to the older apps that were kind of coming out. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what the fuck's gonna happen to all these companies that were revolutionary. Because damn, man, there's so much. Vimeo, Tulu, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've last thing I'll say about the Twitter Elon Musk situation, but despite all of that, no matter what happens, no matter what goes down, if somehow Elon somehow buys Twitter, but if he does not, he says he has a plan B.
Of course.
What his plan B is?
Tesla social media.
No one knows.
Have you heard about Trump's social media? So I'm surprised we haven't talked about this, and I feel that it's under the radar. But he started up his own social media, which would just confirm free speech, just not diminish free speech, because I think it is very much. Even with those two examples with Seth Rogen and the guy with the vaccines and stuff, I think that there is a time and place for certain people to say things, and a lot of this is a great example, and this is the truth. That if you're expressing and I don't mean to go, I know I'm saying the words liberal and Republican, all that stuff. I don't care. I don't care what you have. I think what everybody needs to realize is that we have ideas of both sides in our brains in certain aspects. Most people do. But what I'm trying to say is that
Gray Jedi.
What? What do you mean?
It's just something I think about all the time.
Tell the world, Javi.
A gray Jedi. It's a Jedi who takes both the dark and the light.
Yeah, man.
And combines it to be a gray Jedi.
And I think that's how most of us are. A gray, like the color, right? Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to say is that on social media platforms, often people who are conservative have their posts. What's that word? Ghost. Kind of hidden.
Like their finstas.
No. I think that I know that when people have opinions that are more so let's say ban abortion or pro death penalty.
Oh, like they have throwaway accounts or something. Yeah, like that?
Or they're kind of a certain word where they won't pop up on people's feeds as much because the social media deems it as inappropriate or promoting of a bad narrative or agenda. Okay. When there's two sides to everybody's opinions, multiple sides to everybody's opinions, and that liberal ideology, just like supporting the LGBT community in bathrooms of a trans woman or pro-abortion, all that stuff, those get pushed more in social media, and that's not fair. I don't think that's fair in terms of how we express our opinions, because why does some groups of people get pushed? First of all, I have my own opinions on my own things, which vary on all different ways, but nobody's opinion should get suppressed. Everybody should get brought to attention of everybody. That's a fact too. That's not just some shit I'm saying of opinion. Yeah, just saying. What you laughing now?
I was just like, you're getting so intense about it.
It's scary, man. It's scary because we shouldn't limit people's ideas, because you can keep your own while hearing others, right?
I mean, yeah.
That's why, man. That's why. Elon Musk get Twitter, bro.
I just laugh because you're a funny guy. That's all I gotta say.
No, I feel some type of way.
Like I said, this is Tequila Corner.
It
Frankie's
really
Crisis Corner.
It's an intense episode. I edited our American History X video. I think it's awesome, man. Tequila has a part in this video for sure, but we're all opinionated as fuck.
You know how they
up?
say that like different kinds of liquors bring out a different personality.
Yeah.
I feel like this is your tequila personality.
OD. Oh man, it is. I know I hear that a lot, and I wonder about how true that is and all that shit. But man, I'm passionate today. You're right. I've been pretty passionate this whole episode. Elon Musk, if you get Twitter, you're never gonna hear this anyway. You know what I mean?
Hey man, he does a lot of weird shit. I wouldn't be surprised if he listened to this fucking episode at 3 a.m. high as shit.
That Dogecoin shit was fucked up. That Dogecoin shit was fucked up. Y'all was making money off this bitch. He was fucking with all y'all. You think that guy's evil?
Elon Musk?
Yeah.
I don't think he's evil.
You don't think so?
I think he's got like some, shout out to Joyce from American Splendor, but it's just like some egomaniac tendencies, but
megalomaniac.
Yeah,
man. Fuck, bro. I just think that all these people know how to control their image on TV and the screen
too well,
right?
Too well.
I think that's all people who are working with those people. Those are people who are brushing up those people to be like, hey, this is what you need to say and do, because we've done the science on how people react to what you say and do.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary, man.
I mean, you can say that, but also Elon Musk is such a free-spoken person.
Man, yeah.
So it's like, who cares about a marketing team for Elon Musk?
Yeah.
He's still gonna say whatever the fuck he wants on Twitter.
So this is what I want to ask. How do you compare Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk? Because I know you don't fuck with Jeff Bezos.
Nah. I don't.
You fucking hate. And I know I fuck around with you saying that, like, Jeff Bezos is the man, this and that. I just like Amazon Prime, but why do you differentiate both of them in however you do?
Well, I don't necessarily differentiate them.
Okay.
I mean, I'll just say, like, as anyone out there, I boycott Amazon. I don't use their services.
And Javi really boycotts him. And I'll be fucking with him about it a lot. Like, I just be saying, he has a book that I gave him on the American Splendor and shit that came from Amazon. But he respectfully and wholeheartedly boycotts Amazon, and he has been since he told me. So I respect that, man.
So I don't fuck with Amazon as much as I can directly or anything like that. Like the most I've done is I bought The Boys season 1 on Vudu.
How dare you?
So I'm sure that gave like Amazon a little bit of money,
2 pennies.
But I hope I gave Vudu some money for that.
Yeah.
But all I gotta say is just that, like, in terms of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, they're just kind of billionaires and they're living in their own bubble in their own world. So
real 1%.
They're that real like 0.01%.
Yeah, man.
And so it's just like, I don't try and equate them too much as to like the everyday man, because they are not the everyday man. They can never represent the everyday man, because they have completely forgotten what that's felt like.
I agree.
Jeff Bezos used to be some dude who wanted to sell books.
Yeah.
Now look at him. He's got more yachts than he can fucking count. And like,
but won't you say he has the perspective of somebody who once aspired to be, maybe not where he is now, because it's incredible where he is now. No positive, negative connotation, just astounding where he is now. But those are where the people who come from the lowest situations often sprout into the most incredible ones. And they may not be as tremendous as Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, but let's think of, what's his name? Wolf of Wall Street. What's this guy's name? Jordan.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Jordan Belfort.
I don't know his real name.
That's his actual name, Jordan Belfort. And who he's trying to portray in the movie Wolf of Wall Street is this guy who was come from nothing, who was just living the average Joe life, who became a millionaire. This is interesting. There ain't, okay, whatever you think, I don't give a fuck. For me, it's interesting. I followed this YouTube channel called Trey's Trades. TREY''S space trades. Like I trade you something.
Okay.
I followed him throughout the whole lockdown of COVID. right? This is when, okay, let's see. In terms of businesses that would go down in terms of coronavirus, movie theaters were suffering crazy. AMC stock, not to get too serious about it, if you have one share AMC stock during lockdown, it costs about $5.
Oh, wow.
Right? Let's try to do this because every time I try to explain this, it gets hard for me. Well, not for me, for the people that listen. Let's say you have one stock of AMC, right? And you had it at $5.
$5.
And then it jumps to $65. How much money did you make?
$60?
Yeah. So now let's say you had 10 stocks of AMC for $5. How much does that equal?
$50.
And now it jumps to $60. How much do you have? 10 stocks for $60.
10 stocks for $60.
So
That'd be $600.
So your profit went from 60 to 600. I follow this guy's YouTube channel. From lockdown to further, every day I watched him and the market. We would stay from 9 to I say we. You know, it would be like me and like 1,000 people just watching this guy. You know, it would be from 9 a.m. to 4:30, which is when the market closes in New York City, or 5:30. Watching every day, the price go up and down, 5 to 7 to 10 to 11, 12, down, all that stuff. And I made $2,000 with the AMC stock. This guy became a millionaire, you know, and a bunch of people were posting stories saying they made a whole bunch of money, you know. Now this guy is rich out of his mind. And he's still putting out videos for AMC. I still feel like buying AMC stock is a good...
Is he going to do our video?
I hope so. I fucking hope so because I'm sharing this shit to him. But what I'm trying to say is that I made a measly $2,000 and on my way, I walked to work to Dunkin' Donuts that day and I put, I think, $100 into AMC stock as I walked to work. My money was increasing, like it went to $1,100 to $1,600.
I think I remember that.
You remember that? And I was like, bro, I just made $2,000 with the stocks, and I made another $100 just by walking to work. And the reason I bring it up is just because people's lives change so fast, you know. And say with DraftKings, say I was successful, which I wish I was. That money can not change everybody, but it can change your life in a second, you know. But at one point, either Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos was the average Joe. Maybe. I don't think they were that average of a Joe. But there are some people just as Will Smith in Pursuit of Happiness. You know, I forget the story in itself. But he became successful through his own demise as somebody who wasn't working so good selling products that were all right. I don't really know what my point is. Back to the tequila. But I just think that, again, people in those trenches of life that aren't succeeding the way they'd want to, when they reach a higher up, in terms of wealth and success, they get diminished now. They are like, you don't know what it's like to be the everyday man. But maybe that's what it was. Your lack of, because people, what's the opposite of Elon Musk? Somebody who's unhoused, who has no money, who has, you know, living on the street, you know? And what if they were to bloom into somebody who became the richest man in the world? People would shit on him for saying, you don't know what it's like to be us. Well,
I mean, there is one quote, I forget from where, but it's something along the lines of like, you're crazy until you're right.
Of course.
So it's
and even when you're right, you're still crazy.
It's just the way that I look at it is just kind of like, regardless that Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos might have been the average Joe when they started. Yeah. I mean, in Elon Musk, in his case, like he was planning this shit from like since he was born.
People were shitting on him for it too, you know.
Like that there's been the conspiracy that this guy might be an alien. Like
yeah.
So it's just
and Ted Cruz, not alien, but the Zodiac killer, right?
So it's just, you know, whatever the case might be, but it's just I feel like there comes a point where it's just you become detached from reality.
Oh, for sure. That I agree with. When you get too rich and too famous,
and so that's what I think happens more often, like than anything, because it's like you might be the average Joe, but you are so far from that now that you can't even relate to that anymore. Yeah. And even when you try and think about it, you're thinking of yourself in a time that has already passed.
True.
Like time has moved on, times have changed, and all those sorts of things, and it's just you can't try and put everyone else in that same kind of mindset.
Yeah. Damn.
So that's kind of the way that I look at it in terms of like billionaires and celebrities. It's like you guys can say all the shit you want and trying to tell me to be that success is only the path that I make, but realistically, you're just crazy.
Yeah.
And like you put in that work every minute of every day, and realistically, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I a part of me wants to just shit around and have a little bit of fun. So excuse me.
Excuse me.
So that's the way that I look at it.
Nah, man, I agree. I bring up all that I bring up just because this is a weird world, Javi. It's a weird fucking world.
I mean, we have a fucking rocket man trying to buy Twitter.
Like, we do, man. and people still think the moon landing was fake, and I don't even know if it was or not. I don't even investigate that type of shit. It's just a weird world, bro. And I feel pretty. I don't even know if this is the right word, but introspective, retrospective, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Looking outward in. I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
It's just this is weird.
The tequila's hitting you. Man.
Bro, life is hitting me. On top of the tequila, I've always felt everything is weird as fuck. But Elon Musk and Frank James, Eric Adams, Lieutenant Benjamin Button. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, bro.
I mean, that's been the news section.
Hell yeah, bro. This is brought to you by Espelon. Not yet.
But
holy shit. Last minute too. Last second too.
Fucking Link taking my seat last fucking second.
Like the savage
as we get into the AMC section, this is some fucking bullshit.
Man, this is
this white boy taking my fucking seat. Who the fuck does he think he is?
Someone call police. Somebody call Eric Adams. Link is now deceased due to the police.
So I feel like I gotta explain what's going on at this AMC section, right?
Explain. Hold on, wait. Explain away.
So, it's been about 3 weeks now since we did the last AMC section.
Yeah.
Or a little bit more than that, actually, since if the last time I did AMC section, it's been about 6 weeks.
Is it? What are you talking about? Well, last week we did.
Last album we did was Nirvana's Nevermind.
That's right. And then we skipped over because of the Dallas shit? Or what?
Well, and then the last album episode we did was Sweet Tooth.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. About 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
So 6 weeks ago, we covered Sweet Tooth. And we were going to do that. But originally...
there we go.
Our original album was going to be Somewhere City.
By Origami Angels.
Yep. And Sweet Tooth came up in such a hurry that we were like, no, we got to cover this.
And we did. Great episode.
It.
Check it out on the YouTube and the Spotify.
Yep, check it out. But we made it around and we said, no, we can't just leave this in the dust.
We got to go to it.
We got to go to it.
Hell yeah.
And so we are here to Origami Angels Somewhere City.
And Javi got the poster on the YouTube channel. You can see the poster yourself or you can just Google the shit. But
it's a really cool poster because it's a map of all their song titles.
Oh, it looks like Candyland. You know when you play Candyland?
Yeah.
Damn, bro. How many people you think remember Candyland?
I mean, they still make that.
I know, but it's just been a long time since I've seen it. That and Snakes and Ladders.
Shoots and Ladders?
Oh. I'm thinking about...
You're thinking of SpongeBob.
Eels. Supplementary. Damn, that's a pretty dope poster.
Yeah, and so... Another album or another concept album that we're looking at this time around because we just love concept albums on this fucking podcast
back to back. But next album, I already got some shit stored. We're gonna change it up a little bit, but that's later. That's in the future. Right now, we are focusing on Summer City, and I really I'm gonna say this because this is my initial thoughts with the whole album. Just not to dive in, I'm not gonna talk about the tracks. Just that I respect that you have such a consistent genre that you like follow, that there's it's hard for me. It was hard to like kind of get myself off the first bat. What we did, not Prince Daddy and Hina, was it Cosmic Thrill Seekers?
Yeah, Cosmic Thrill Seekers. That was Prince Daddy and Hina.
Oh, so that was for me. It was new, but I still remember to this day on my way to work in the morning, listening to the album and saying that this is crazy different to me. And now we're on Somewhere City. And just like the comic books, I'm getting more accustomed to it. And I'm starting to at least appreciate different forms of art in terms of comics or music that are new to me. And it's dope, man. It's dope because when you expand what you listen to, what you read, and what you watch, and you take in other people's perspective on things, like you have a very consistent sense of music. So I think that was pretty dope, and I want to throw it out there because it brought me to a light where even seeing the Menzinger is still one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life because that was dope. So, but now we're episode 15, still talking about music and shit. So
yeah, I mean, I'll just say that, like, you know, I definitely am consistent in the music that I listen to. Yeah. I love keeping up with bands and staying in my genre and just kind of like promoting new bands and things like that. And because immediately when we were setting up the idea for this show and when we talked about having an album like club thing, I was so excited by that because I was like, oh my God, like I can introduce so many people to my kind of music.
Yeah, man.
And like, you know, this might sound whatever the case might be, but I feel like, you know, rock music is definitely not as appreciated nowadays as it used to be.
I think hip hop overtook it in terms of popular genre recently, right? Yeah.
So it's just, I think it's just, I don't, because I hate when people say it's a phase. Oh yeah, nah. I absolutely despise that.
Yeah.
So it's just
to some people it may be a phase of interest, I guess, or whatever, but you definitely love this music and it grows with you as you do.
Yeah, and it's just like because Origami Angel is a new band. They're not necessarily a well-established band.
How new would you say they are?
I think their first EP came out, if I'm wrong, we can put this in the supplementary as a correction or anything, but I think their first EP came out in 2016.
Okay.
And so Somewhere City is their first official LP, their first official debut album.
I didn't know that.
So before this, they had about like 3 or 4 EPs where they just had a bunch of little songs and things like that.
Okay.
And so this was their first debut album. Mm. And this came out in 2019. And to just kind of go off the track list, it's a little scattered for me, but I've listened to this album so many times, I'm going to try my best to get it in the right order.
Okay. I have it here if you want. but no, you read it after you're guessing.
Let's test it out.
All right. I won't correct you.
So we got Welcome to 24-hour drive-through, 6666 flags.
My favorite title.
Dr. Whomst.
Ooh.
Say Less.
Okay.
The title track. Escape Rope. Skeleton Key. Find Your Throne. And The Air Up Here. You
only messed up one.
Damn, where did I mess up?
Escape Rope and title track, you just flip it and you got it all right. So you got a 90%.
Damn.
You got 90%. Because there are 10 songs in this album. Right? Nice. And if I may say, for those listening on Spotify, you can't really... Well, you're on Spotify, so just fucking type in Somewhere City on your shit. You will see the album cover. I think the album cover is one of my favorite parts of the whole album.
Oh, wow.
Because it's such a great picture. Mm-hmm. And it makes more sense later on as you listen to the music and you understand a little more the lyrics. But for those in the YouTube video, and it's just great. It's just a great, color palette?
Yeah,
because it all melds well with the, I would say, blood orange of the neon sign that says "Welcome to Somewhere City," and then the sky is almost teal with a lot of construct in terms of city-like objects such as poles with the green sign and trees and the red light directly in the middle. It's just dope, man, and it intrigues me because that's for some reason I just always love the album cover.
I also love that Origami Angel is one of their street names. Is the street name there?
Oh shit! I didn't even realize that was the name of the street name. That's dope. Isn't it in Maryland or some shit like that? We'll get into that later because I kind of wrote
what
down
the street is.
Where some of the songs were dedicated to.
Oh, I mean, I don't. So I guess that's an interesting topic to bring up.
We'll talk about it later on.
But So I guess before we really get into the title by title, when I discovered Origami Angel, it was 2020. It was a pandemic. I was going through some shit, and I stumbled across their song Emerald. Amazing song, and it was on their EP called Gen 3, which is if you look at it, I also have all their albums on vinyl.
Nice.
But Gen 3 is Pokemon themed.
Okay.
So it's 4 tracks: Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and XD Gale of Darkness.
Dope. That's so dope.
And so Emerald is how I discovered them.
Okay.
And so when I started listening to the rest of their music, I came to Somewhere City, and it just really helped me a lot with the shit that I was going through in that really cliche way of like, wow, this music really helped me a lot.
This song saved my life.
This song fucking saved me, man.
To get it more depth on that joke, where we work at, Dunkin' Donuts, I think Oasis Wonderwall played, right? And then I was like, something like, I hate this song, or this song is overplayed, or some shit like that. And there were like, so many people were like, this song saved my life, or some shit, right?
It wasn't even that.
What was it?
I came up to you and I was like, as the song was playing, I was just like, this song saved my life.
And I'm like, really? You're like, no.
Because this is when we were first getting to know each other. So you were so quick to be like, yeah.
Wow. I will say, Champagne Supernova, though. That's right? Champagne Supernova. Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
You don't know that song? Hold on. You gotta listen to that song. I'm not gonna play it right now. I might though. Let me make sure I got. Yeah, yo, bro, you haven't heard that song, Champagne Supernova by Oasis?
I don't know.
Oh man. Oh, I'm about to play that song right now. I won't. But I thought you knew it. That's a great song by Oasis. That's a great song.
I never really listened to Oasis like that.
Well,
so
aside from the song that saved your life, I even though Wonderwall is hilarious because today is gonna be the day I'm coming back to you. Right now and then now the time I'm gonna do. This song saved my life. That was fucking funny though. When you told me that shit and I deadass believed you, bro. I was like, wow. Anyways, back to Somewhere City. To recap from myself, I'm happy that music like this got you through that situation, whatever it was it may be. Because that's real, man. There was a time in my life, I was very young. It wasn't that serious of that situation. But I think one of the only songs I could listen to was Going Through Changes by Eminem. For some reason, you know, I just repeated it back and forth. I was younger, but it was a matter of the fact that any other song I listened to, it would just make me sad. Any song, like, it could be the dumbest song ever. It could be like, why, whatever. But I can only listen to Going Through Changes back to back. And so I completely understand that some people just need a certain song or album to get them through whatever they are. And yeah, man, this is definitely a song of just escaping to somewhere city. I know it's kind of self-descriptive, but as you read the lyrics, although very short, it takes you somewhere else without, again, using the word somewhere, which we'll use a lot. But I appreciate this album. And to start off, what I'll say is that, what genre would you say this is?
Well, these guys are definitely emo. They're kind of songwriters.
Wow.
So it's kind of like emo indie songwriting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what I would group them in for sure.
And to me, to anyone that's not at all into this genre or hasn't explored into this genre, I would recommend this album as an intro to get into this genre. Because I very much enjoyed this without realizing the lyrics the first time. Because the first time I listened to it, I took a walk from, to the Pulaski Bridge, which is a very short bridge connecting Queens to Brooklyn. And I was like, this is a good jam album. This is very instrumental. And it's very short. It's incredibly short, just like the other albums that you showed me is. But then when you read the lyrics, it does get deep and it does get very sentimental, I guess. Yeah. Because it's interesting.
I mean, something that I'll note in terms of you saying that they're very instrumental is that these guys are a two-piece band.
Yeah, man. I thought there were more people.
Guitar and drums.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Ryland and Pat.
Yeah, man. I seen the little picture on Spotify. I was like, I thought there was like 7 of you. Yeah, bro.
Nope. It's just those two guys. Ryland on drums, Pat on drums.
That's dope.
Or sorry, Ryland on guitar, Pat on drums.
Get it right, Harvey. This is EarthMind&Matter.
Tequila.
God damn, tequila.
But yeah, I fucking love these guys. I absolutely fell in love with these guys as soon as I discovered their music, and to just really get into it.
Yeah,
Welcome To just opens up as such a beautiful
the first
intro.
track. Yeah.
Fun fact: I know how to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs off of this album.
Good shit, man. Out of the 10 songs, that's a lot of fucking songs.
So I know how to play like the first 4 tracks, which is pretty dope. Welcome to 24-hour drive-through, 6666 flags, and Dr. Whomst. And then I also know how to play the title track, which are all very fun to play.
Yeah.
But welcome to the lyrics are so poetic.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, in terms of genre, these guys are sort of songwriter in terms of that genre. Something that comes a lot of in terms with that is kind of country music as well. Country music comes along with songwriting genres. Just figured that was just kind of interesting to point out there, because these guys are very, or Rylan at least in his songwriting is very poetic.
Yeah.
Because Welcome to kind of just opens up with, when I feel so lost without a plan or purpose, a cent or a dollar or even a cause, I know where I need to go to feel better. Somewhere that I know that I'll always belong. And it opens up the whole idea for this entire album, where you have just stepped away from all your troubles and you are now in somewhere city,
in your own realm, in your own safe haven, in the place where you don't desire, you're just always welcome.
Yes.
You know? And what I wrote is that, so I was like, what is Summer City? And I wrote, maybe it's a place just for you where you're always welcome. And there's a line where he says, city never lets me down. You know? And I wrote, we all need our Summer City. And he has a lyric that says, there's something in the air out there, which he references later in the album.
There's something in the air up here.
And up here, right? And for me, I wrote either two things, either drugs or false hope or imaginative. Either way, I think that this world, there's some place for everybody, but the true perfect safe haven for yourself is within your own mind, is a safe place to be, or a comfort zone, you know? But I think that a term like Summer City, the album name, is universal, because to each his own individually is where it's at, you know?
I mean, I'll get into a little bit more in terms of when we get to Find Your Throne, because I think that song really sells the album for me. Yeah. But to continue onwards, I mean, when we get to 24-hour drive-through, it's just another kind of song of belonging, because it's really just him singing out to that one person, where in the chorus he says, all you need to do is call me and I'll take Kenilworth Avenue to 193 and we can get frieds under dark stormy skies and blow the thunder and lightning away.
And that's where I saw that it's in Maryland, because I used Genius again for the lyrics. And most of the lyrics were kind of, I noticed how, I won't say not as famous this band is, but how this fan base is still very real, but just not as huge, because a lot of the Genius interpretations of lyrics weren't verified, but this one was. And it reads, Kenilworth Avenue is a road in College Park, Maryland, in the DMV area of the United States that Origami Angel is based out of.
Yeah, they are based out of DC.
Exactly. And I didn't know that. And he said, it says the writer is taking Kenilworth to get to Maryland's Route 193, a major highway that cuts through the state and is a primary access point to the University of Maryland. And the last thing it says is that along the way, the speaker seems to imply that they will pick up the person the song is speaking to. They will then drive together to enjoy some late night cuisine at the song's namesake, a 24-hour drive-through. So I always think it's cool to shout out your origin, where you're from. You know, we technically are in Long Island City, Queens. You know, this is where we're shooting it, but we're both from, you know, you are based around here. Me from Brooklyn, but we're pretty much centralized in this area, you know, and I think this is where we're part of. This is our community. It's always good to shout out where you're starting off from, man, because that shit is always crucial.
Yeah, I mean, they're very proud from where they come from in terms of being from DC and stuff. They very much so at shows. From what I've seen online, they kind of promote that at their shows and stuff. That like, yeah, we're from DC and this and that, and whatever the case is. So, you know, fuck yeah to that.
Fuck that. Fuck where you're from. Nah, but hell yeah, man. Always that. Yeah, and I love the titles that, you know, come with this, because they're pretty dope. The next one, again, like I said, is my favorite. But so speaking of 24-hour drive-through, it still is just pretty dope, because it's not as serious. Just like with the little line that says, with Dr. Pepper, fill up our water cups with Dr. Pepper, act like we paid. Something we're all used to doing, you know. But just talking about what you do on your own time within your own realm of life, you know, not taking things too serious, even though it starts off with a little bit of serious stuff, you know. It's still saying that this is my life experience. I'm going to talk about it. And And the voice, I don't know how to compare his voice to anybody else.
Yeah, he has such a it's not necessary. I wouldn't say it's like super unique.
Not at all, but it's similar.
But there's just something about it that's just like, it's just kind of catchy and it's just very singy songy.
Yeah,
and it's just like, you can't like, you almost can't stop yourself from like bobbing to like his singing and stuff. Like it's just very rhythmic.
Yes, and a lot of the song is very catchy too, without being too cliche. You know, it's more so catchy in its own style, but his voice is very just at the right, I don't know, tone or pitch where it separates itself from a lot of songs that are or genres of songs that are similar to this. You know, and you kind of just have to hear it to understand it too. We can only read so much lyrics. I wish we could play the music right now.
Yeah,
but you know, copyright motherfuckers.
But
maybe on YouTube we could put it. Might as well get that strike. You know, maybe.
Yeah,
I think about it.
You know, future website.
Donate to us. Yeah, man.
But we move on to 666 Flags.
I love the title. I wrote parentheses, awesome title.
This song is so fast and it's so kick-ass.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I showed it to my cousin Chino.
Yeah.
He had to close his eyes for a second and I just watched him and he was like, oh shit. Like in the car, he was just like, oh shit.
I love the first line where it says, Googling how much roller coasters cost. Goes. And then he says, so I can build a Gammy Gang theme park, which the Gammy Gang is their fan base.
Yeah, the Gammy Gang.
Gammy Gang, sorry, yeah. That's just dope, man. That's dope as fuck.
Their second album is actually called Gammy Gang.
Gammy Gang, nice. And then it's sponsored by NASCAR. Oof. I mean, that's just cool little dreams to have, man. And you should never stop dreaming, you know?
Yeah, it's just, you know, what's really funny about this guy, Rylan, is that he kind of raps a little bit. Like,
as fast paced as he speaks and sings.
Like, and if you listen to XD Gale of Darkness on their Gen 3 EP, which I mentioned earlier, he straight up is rapping in that one, which is pretty good.
I gotta check that out. It's interesting to me.
But yeah, what I really love about the lyricism to 666 Flags is that it's really this idea of just getting better, because as he says in the second verse, Googling how much medicine I'll need to stop feeling like everybody fucking hates me. Yeah. And it's just moments like that where it's like, wow, that's kind of deep.
And that's where this album fluctuates, where it will have these fun parts, just like filling up the water cups with Dr. Pepper or, you know, buying a roller coaster. But then it says things like that and you're like, whoa. It starts to transition to these real deep lyrics where you could be having as much fun and that, but it comes with your demons almost, you know. And as you're having your fun, you're still considering all this, you know, world.
And I think that song does a really good job of that, because even if it's outro, because as he starts going into it, but just wait, it's only 2 more seconds till these microscopic moments help me feel like I'm not helpless. Yeah. I'm okay. I'm trying not to feel so bad for myself. I'm trying not to bring down anyone else. Yeah. And it's just, I really love those lyrics, and the way that he sings it out is just so loud. He's just so proud of himself. It's like, I'm okay. I'm not going to do these things anymore. And it's just, it's really powerful in the way that he sings it, I think. And it's just, I love that song. It's so good. And it just has such a crazy outro too. It's so hard to play. I can't ever play it as good as he does. He's so fucking good on the guitar, man. It sucks.
Practice, bro. The reason I figured this fan base is not as huge as major bands is because one of the comments on the interpretations of the, you know, lyrics, it says, for the uninitiated, the Gammy Gang is the name of the original Origami Angels fan base. Also, it's the best gang. So I see that there's people like, you know, contributing to the lyrics and trying to like really explain. For this song, I wrote LOL. But the dreaming and emotional outlet this music is for, or Origami Angel, or at least the writer is true, kiddish, respectfully, and a great flow of sound from track to track. Then I wrote, anyone who doesn't listen to this music, actually the genre, this would be the first album I recommend to listen to it, to get into it. Because it really is, because you can listen to this album in about 20-30 minutes. It's really fucking fast, but it has a lot of, I just think of it as, it's similar in a bunch of songs, but it just has a lot of breakdowns that are that's separated from the last track to the next track. And I think whether it's drums or vocally, later on in the album, he does what the Prince Danny and Hina does, where they like really shriek their voice.
Yeah.
And I wish there was more of that in this album because it's dope. Like that little like real hardcore like I can't do it myself because it's a talent in its own. But I really wish it was throughout the whole album because he really is good at that shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, I will say in the second album, he definitely they have a handful of harder songs, which definitely gives him a chance more to like really shriek his voice, which are really good.
Would that shift it into punk almost or not?
Their second album is definitely more of like emo punk for sure. Like they kind of stepped away from the songwriting genre a little bit and definitely wrote a little just more like hardcore punk shit for their second album, which is pretty good. But I mean, just kind of an example of like how hardcore they get or whatever. We go to Dr. Hoomst,
which is their fourth track,
which automatically, immediately, I love the title to it because, you know, if you don't get it, it's just a play on of the show Doctor Who.
Which I've never watched, to be honest with you.
I love Doctor Who.
Yeah, I know.
So with the lyrics, it even kind of plays to that title too, where he says, "Oh my God, I feel just how I used to feel watching Dan and Phantom eating Happy Meals." Yeah. And it's this sort of idea of time travel. Is the way that I've always looked at it.
That makes a lot of sense. I thought it was, again, like how I said earlier, like this is a kiddish album, which in all respects is not to diminish it, but just to really say that later on I write that be yourself, man, and follow what's true to you. And when he says like watching Danny Phantom eating Happy Meals every night at 7, watching my favorite shows, just do what the fuck you want to do.
Never really worried about the to and fro's of the way life goes.
Yeah, man. Just go forward however you prefer to go, you know? And it's just like, it's like a time machine just brought me there. Like you said just now, just that you can teleport yourself back then. Like one of my dreams in the future is to retire, make a bunch of money, get high as fuck, and watch old SpongeBob episodes. Just because I know I would laugh my ass off at the real old SpongeBob episodes.
Yeah, it's just a really positive song. I think it's just really happy, and it's just I really love the chorus. I think I'm starting to like myself. I think I'm right where I need to be the best version of myself.
They must be pretty young, or I don't know if they're old or young because they're
around our age.
Because I would say they're referencing Danny Phantom, but their outro for this song is a Star Trek. How can I say?
I mean, people our age are
for sure
definitely into Star Trek and things like that.
But I think most people are like hardcore fans before our age, man. Like, you know, when it came out, I watched Star Trek a bit, and I really enjoyed the show. It's a fun show. But I just think for him to reference Danny Phantom, it has to be our age and stuff. I thought he would be younger just because, you know, it catches it in stride. I think people our age reference more like Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, SpongeBob, all those things that became before Danny Phantom, you know, a little before Danny Phantom.
I mean, they were kind of all around the same time.
Ish.
Yeah.
But
at a certain point, they were all out at the same time, for sure.
At one point. But still, OG cartoons are OG. And then it goes up to Tom and Jerry and then Ren and Stimpy and real ass cartoons. You know?
Yeah, I mean, when I was discovering these guys, like sort of their song titles and their lyric references and things like that, it's like they're kind of like meme lords. Like they make a lot of jokes and things like that. I mean, the fact that they have a whole we'll put it in supplementary, but their Gen 3 album, like again, like I said, is Pokemon themed. So even the album itself looks like the cover to like Pokemon Ruby.
That's dope.
So it's really good.
What I wrote here is real quick. It says the message I got from this song is that being yourself is crucial, vital, and important. I wrote sick ass outro instrumentally right before the main outro, which is like the ooh at the end. Like I can't really say it because I don't remember mentally, but there's this real intense kind of like drum guitar background that comes after the chorus. You're like ooh, I would want to put it up, but I can't. But I really enjoyed this song. And I couldn't find the favorite song on this album. It was difficult for me.
Okay.
But great song.
I mean, well, we go to Say Less.
Track 5.
And this song is definitely, I would say, more of a sleeper song.
Okay.
More in terms of just like, it's very low key in comparatively to the rest of the album. But there's still there's still a lot going on in this track, which I think is still pretty interesting. I I just love the opening so much to this song. With the guitar, especially, it's just I can feel the disdain in your eyes, laughing at me as I walk away. Maybe I would be just fine if I could just change everything that's wrong with me, but it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a very colorful intro, I think, and it's just very, it's a very fun song, I think.
And what from the Genius annotation, which I try to use, which wasn't really that I didn't rely on it too much because it kind of the lyrics are pretty simple to take in, but one of them kind of expressed it as saying, this is basically somebody with anxiety's worst nightmare. The bully goes out their way to embarrass the narrator. No wonder they make him feel like shit. And from what I see is just when he says, though I'm not the type to ever throw a fist over things like this, I really like the chance to speak my goddamn mind.
Yeah.
And towards the end of it, I wrote a hard confession to make, displaying vulnerability and resistance to what disturbs his or her peace. It just comes at a cost regardless of resistance, not being a part of their regular self-defense, a self-defense that they never wish to have to arise. So that's how I kind of took it. But you're right. I think it just really is how you interpret it. And these interpretations on Genius, outside of the Maryland one, aren't verified. So it's really more opinion. When it comes to
the Maryland one, I'll definitely say it's like, yeah, no, that's definitely to the fact that they're from DC.
But the other ones are more so just opinions or this or that. And from what I took of it in terms of this song, I just saw the words of like bully and this and that. But it could really go either way.
I've always kind of seen this song in terms of like romanticism of like of a relationship.
Yeah, that seems like it more too in the beginning. Where you got the stain in your eyes.
Yeah, just because like even as he says, you don't know everything, do you? You do anything to prove me wrong in front of all your friends.
Yeah, who
don't want anything to do with me except for making fun of me and saying that I'm ugly.
Yeah,
like. I can't speak for everyone, but I feel like.
But you ugly. No. That's what it is.
But it, you know, I've definitely been in that situation where I'm just kind of like, damn, like.
Why you gotta do me like that? And that's where I think that the interpretation is how you take it. But I think outside of reading this annotation, that makes more sense because, you know, the friends that you have, say you break up with somebody, they're like, yo, fuck that person. You didn't even have the way. Like, you could do better, this and that. Like, they're worse off. You're worse off being with them, attractiveness or like status wise and stuff like that. And yeah.
Man, you're really painting the wall
you
right
see
there.
Me with my Italian hands right here? If you can't see it, watch the YouTube video where I just talk with my hands. That's how I think. Oh, yeah, man.
But we go to Escape Rope.
I think of Zelda.
Oh.
And, you know, you know in Zelda where you play the game and you're stuck in a cave and you use
Navi is like, hey, listen.
Well, I don't know if you remember I think in the real old ones or maybe.
Oh, I think you're thinking of Pokemon, the Escape Rope.
Oh, I am thinking of Pokemon where you use it
when you get out of the caves
and you just spin in circles like. Whoo.
Yeah, I mean that's where they got this from.
Nice,
because again, like Gen 3 Pokemon stuff, they know what they're doing.
Then I definitely know what they're talking about because I wrote Zelda here, but it was Pokemon where you're stuck in a cave and you're like, get me the fuck out this cave, and you spin in circles and then you're in the grass.
Yeah, that's definitely what they were referring to for sure.
Nice.
This song, they play this live and they play it so good because it always leads perfectly into the next track right after it, the title track. Okay. Because I think Escape Rope and the title track kind of go hand in hand. They kind of lend to one another. Is what I would say. Escape Rope is almost like the prelude to the title track because it bleeds right into it. Yeah. So that would only make sense. But Escape Rope, it opens up with him saying, breathing softly isn't easy these days. I'm begging you to please stay a little bit longer.
Those lyrics are hard. Like to really just, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but just reading that, we're chilling right now. We're hanging out, having a good time. But to some people, those lyrics might hit so hard home, you know, to like going through a breakup or losing somebody, even just losing a loved one, you know, just without please stay a little longer. Sometimes you're at the end of, you know, just your contact with somebody and you just wish time would last longer, and those just are inevitably gone. And I think more so, like, at first I was thinking about a relationship, but then when you think about like a loved one, even though this might not be in reference to that, That shit is sad.
It is.
That shit is sad, man.
And
Jesus Christ.
he says it, but I can feel it. The time escaping right now. Every second counts down.
That's sad. I don't mean to simplify it, but if that shit hurts, man.
Yeah, and this is definitely kind of like where, like I mentioned, the emo themes of this album kind of come out for sure, because it's really sad, and it's just like, fuck, man.
It kind of seeps in through the crevices. Like at first you're having a fun time, you're like, yeah, this is a fun album. Then you're like, oh, I'm depressed. Respectfully.
I mean, I think because we'll get into it more when we get to Find Your Throne.
Yeah.
But Escape Rope definitely just kind of preludes to the title track, where it just has this idea of that something is wrong, and that like there's no ever coming back from this.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like there's no ever coming back from this.
Yeah.
And then we get into the title track.
Yeah.
And the title track is literally what it is. It is the title track of this album.
Yeah. I like that they call it the title track.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, that's Summer City. and it starts out with, sometimes it gets hard to be alive and you know better than I do. Sometimes you need somewhere else to go, somewhere that nobody can find you. No one will find you.
And it's a really beautiful song, like lyrically from word to word. I think it's something that everyone needs to hear almost every day.
Yeah.
Where he says, if you want to be somewhere that you never have to hide or keep bottled up on the inside, baby, you can set it free. Just come with me and I'll show you somewhere city's waiting for you.
Yeah, man.
And it's a really beautiful song. I love this song. I love playing it. I love singing it. When he says the city's never far away, I'm telling you, I know that you won't be the same. The city's never far away. I'm telling you, the secret is it's in your brain.
It's like, let me show you how to get to this place where you can always find it. You can always be. You just have to search with it, and I can guide you there.
And I think, with the fact that it's called the title track, it definitely hints to the bigger theme of this album. But again, Find Your Throne just really sells it for me of the theme of this whole album. But we get to Skeleton Key.
Yep.
And Skeleton Key is a fucking heartbreaker.
Yeah, man.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
and,
man.
how does it start, Javi? Go ahead.
This song makes me so sad. Where he says, the overwhelming thought of being on my own for 2 weeks straight without the sight of you around. The overwhelming thought of if this lasts forever, you'll find ways to remember me somehow.
And this kind of gave me some vibes of Sweet Tooth, where he's speaking. I remember I interpreted it as, speaking of you gives me cavities, because it kind of just, I don't remember the lyrics so much right now, but just I interpreted it as, when I speak of you, it hurts me, just like when you're injecting too much sugar into your teeth, it hurts your teeth. It's like spewing your name is damaging to my mindset. And so here, it just says, again, it reminds you that being by yourself is so tough, man, especially without the right person.
Yeah.
And you're right. It really gets much more deeper. And I don't know, man. Maybe that's why I woke up in a bad mood too, because I did listen to the song in the morning. I got a lot of sleep, but it was just it's some tough lyrics. I think it kind of just does. It disguises itself as a fun roller coaster of a album, but there really is some depth to it, where Summer City may not be all fun and games either. There's a price to pay to find your Summer City, which can be just getting past all your demons and stuff like that and everything.
Yeah.
And that's just an interpretation, whether it's the truth of how it's made or not. But I always think, of course, how you take it in is how you interpret it, which is not really up to the artist.
And I mean, it's interesting that you bring up like sort of the sacrifices that you might have to make to reach this Somewhere City, because like how he says in the song, I hope you know everything you do is special to me. You're my skeleton key.
Yeah.
You can say those things to that significant other, but sometimes that won't always like go the way you might want it to. And so when he says, so do you even have to ask me that I want to be there with you? I want to like, it's just a sort of cry for help. It's just like, let me just be with you and nothing more than that. Yeah. And sometimes you just kind of need that.
Yeah, man. A lot of people do. People aren't meant to be by themselves, man. That's what COVID showed for sure. You need human interaction, all that stuff, man. We're what is it? A social creature.
We're a social creature.
Yeah, man. Then we get to the one and only Find Your Throne.
And Find Your Throne is definitely a very special song.
Yeah.
The first time I listened to this album, I wasn't necessarily sold by this song, but once I listened to the lyrics of it, I was like, I understand what's so special about this song.
Yeah.
Because this song really encapsulates the whole theme of this album.
Yeah.
Because I haven't gotten into so much of like my opinion of what I think this album says.
Yeah.
But because I was saving for this song specifically. But when for the chorus specifically, when he says, you're the goddamn king of the universe, even when it feels like it can't get worse, all you need to do is find your throne and you'll never be alone.
Yeah.
And that just, for me, that just encapsulates everything of this whole album, of that Somewhere City is a place that you make.
And you navigate yourself towards.
You like Somewhere City isn't a singular place that you can run away or escape to. It's a place that you create with the people around you and that really make it home.
And even the mindset you bring upon yourself, wherever you are.
Home is what you make of it, essentially.
It's really true, man. And I, for some reason, I have this thought, but when you travel somewhere or you're alone in the desert for some reason or whatever, as long as you have either that person there with you or a certain, that's why people carry certain things with them when they travel. Like for me, it was, I love to travel with Beatrice. Like I've always feel my safest, and I feel if I'm with her anywhere I go, I feel like I'm okay and I'm safe. But I would also carry the Anthony Bourdain book. Kitchen Confidential. When I first finished reading it, for some reason I just have a strange attachment to that book, so when I traveled, I brought it with me.
Okay.
And just different way, even just like calling your loved one or like your mom, dad, guardian, all that stuff, that there's an escape within that, and that's kind of how I see it. Because you're right, like you're the goddamn king of the universe, because all we got is the life we have, and no matter how many friends you have, quote unquote friends or acquaintances, all that stuff, when you're alone with your thoughts, it's wherever you place yourself, and it's tough, man. It's tough. But sometimes you can navigate outwards of that into a more, again, safe haven.
I mean, I think it is important to kind of point out that I think, because something that I've seen, and just this idea of the Gami gang is that Origami Angel, they're a very social group.
That's dope.
They have a very big
connected fan base. Yeah,
they have a very connected fan base, and they have a very big group of people that support them in terms of like their OG like family, pretty much.
Yeah, that's dope.
And so when I think of this album, and like even when you look at this side of the poster where it has all the lyrics, look at all the people that
wow, that's crazy.
Look at all the people that took a part into making this album.
I see the bottom left photo mostly, the one right no, that too, but the bottom left right here, just with the red shirt girl and all stuff. And but again, the more you're pointing out is groups of people. Those I just see more vividly. Show this camera too, if you don't mind, the YouTube camera, which we'll put it up blossomed anyway, and the supplementary, because that's amazing, man. And I feel that once you get huge, and who's to blame big bands for getting huge, and not being able to talk to every fan one by one, it still matters, and to be connected. To be connected to your fan base is really crucial and stuff. So that's dope, man. And I'm really happy you showed me that, because it makes me respect that the band, the 2-man band. And it also makes me think of, I think it was Mom Jeans, when they were starting their song. And at the beginning, you showed me your concert videos. Yeah. And some guy was like, "Oh, I'm so sad right now," which we'll put up right now. But I like that because he's just letting it out. He's just living in the moment, like, yeah, you're so sad right now, but you're sad around your group, your counterparts. These are the family you're around. Like you all took time out of and especially in New York City, this 8 million populated city where you all took part in this one little organization of music, and you're all feeling the same thing right now, And there's a special energy that brings about that I think is, almost as unreal as God, if you want to look at it like that, but just as spiritual, I think that's a very, very crazy thing that music can bring about. Very beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they definitely have their family. They have their people supporting them. And it's just, when I listen to a song like Find Your Throne, I definitely think of that, of just like, I recently did my showcase, and I wouldn't be able to do that without the people supporting me behind me.
Hell yeah.
And so it's just, when I listen to a song like this, I think a lot about that, of like, you're only as capable as a team that you have behind you.
Oh yeah, and how people say that, show me your friends and I'll show you your future or some shit like that. You never heard that
I
saying?
haven't heard of that.
Oh, it's a big thing. It's like, show me your friends and I'll show you like what your future is gonna be. And it's that if you surround, this is cool. This is real cool. I may not have thought of this. I'm pretty sure I haven't thought of this, but I looked into my own notebooks because I've been cleaning like a motherfucker lately. And one of my notebooks says, I'm pretty sure Kevin Smith said this.
Okay.
He said, stop surrounding yourself by why people, and stop surrounding yourself by why people, like why question mark, and start surrounding yourself by why not people. And I really, like, for me at least, I enjoy that because I'm a big dreamer, man. Like outside this podcast, which I love this podcast, like, you know me, I've been trying to do a whole bunch of shit in all different ways, man. I've been
You're
trying
an ambitious guy.
Hell yeah, and not only ambitious in terms of like career paths, but more so just in my creativity. I know no bounds in terms of what I can do. I've had a discussion with a friend of mine who has a very serious mindset and goes forward in life very maturely. I feel like he'll have 10 houses in 2 years, But I told him, like, I wanted to make a movie. I still want to make a movie, And some people will look at the dreams I have and be like, you're wasting your time doing all this dumb stuff when you could be making real money, working a serious job. It's just like, I don't want to hang myself in a hotel room, just because I hate my life and I have to wear a tie that constricts my throat. Like I want to dream for a living, because I feel that, and respect to anybody living their life, making a living, supporting their family, because that's also a good way to do it too. But there's more to life than just following the status quo of career paths,
Yeah.
So I feel like when I do shit like this and I hear stories like what you're telling me and all that stuff, it's just dope, man, because everybody you buy a ticket to see, they once were in a position where nobody was caring at all where they were, who they were talking to.
I mean, these guys are playing basement shows and stuff like that, where like you could be like as close as we are to each other right now.
And so are the Beatles, and I know it's such a grand scale thing, but they, like they both started off the same way. Just anybody can do it, man. Anybody can do whatever the fuck you want to do. We're just taught so much that it's unrealistic, and fuck that. Dream as much as you can, man. Dream as much as you can.
I mean, to get to the last song, which kind of like just only emphasizes what we've been talking about.
Oh yeah.
Is which kind of repeats the first track of the album, is the last song, The Air Up Here. It was referenced in the first song, There's Something in the Air Up Here. And the last song, here it is saying, The Air Up Here. This is what's up about it. And it's just repeating the same thing of that the city's never gonna let you down.
Never.
And I love when he says I'm never going to come back home again. I'm never going to feel that low again. It's just that I'm never going to come back home again. I'm never going to feel that low again. It's nothing that you ever did wrong. It's just I found a place to call home. And there's something about that, like to people that have come from broken homes and things like that, where it's just
or situations
or things like that, which again just speaks to what I've been saying, that once you surround yourself around those people that you really care and trust yourself around, you feel at home and you have found your somewhere city. So much that love and care and kind of support could seem as strange when you're so accustomed to just not the opposite of it. You can be so accustomed to people fake supporting you or just doing you dirty or this and that, and it becomes your norm, that when you come across real love, to sum it up at all, it just seems like just different. I think for some reason I think of the example when a kid is getting abused so much, right, and every time the parent that abuses them raises their hand, they flinch. So when somebody is raising their hand to give them like a hug or like a handshake or food, they'll flinch, not because they're scared of getting hit by the person, because that's all they know. Yeah. And it's crazy, man. This is again a beehole kind of, but reading the Sandman, the second book of Sandman, I think of Jed, who's the younger brother of, I forget the blonde lady's name, but he spends his time in the basement being abused by an old couple, basically having to sleep on the cold basement floor with a thin blanket, peeing in the corner of where he sleeps. But when he dreams, he escapes into the
dream world where he has, you know, the superhero who not really is a Sandman, and his wife kind of creating this utopia for him, you know, and an escape is an escape, and in some ways that's his summer city, even though it gets a little dark in that, you know. But it was crazy to see that, because then when he wakes up, I remember there's a part where he's sleeping, and they're like, "Oh no, Jed, you let out the gerbils in the sanctuary," and he wakes up to a rat biting his face, you know, and it's just, he can't escape it as much as he dreams away. Whew, that shit is real rough.
I mean, I really, to kind of pull it back again, I really love when he says, "I feel worthwhile now, and the city never lets me down."
Yeah.
And he just says, "So when you're feeling low or so damn distant and broken and lonely, just know that you'll never be alone. There's places you can go, people you should know. You don't have to do anything or be anyone. Just follow the road."
Yeah.
And it's just really beautifully spoken. And it's just kind of, again, this idea of like, chart your own path, make your own life, and surround yourself around the people that you love and that you care about.
Always. And that's all you can do in this world where so many people will just not, you know, there's I mean, bro, there's 7 billion people on this earth. You know, most people are too busy caring about themselves or the people around them to care about you. So find that either large group or small group. You know, in terms of Origami Angel, they have their whole Gami gang, and it doesn't have to be this whole 1,000 group of people. It could just be one person or 3 people, or, you know, a small subgroup. But when you find them, they really are the ones that keep you together, you know? And I mean, as short as this album is, I really think that it's a special one, you know? I think it'll fly under the radar compared to all our other AMC section, just because I mean, again, they're a more recent band, you know? But pretty fucking dope, man. And I'm happy we came back to it, because at first I thought it was going to be kind of difficult to talk about it, but it really came naturally, you know?
It's a good album.
Hell yeah, man.
I mean, before we let you guys go, thank you so much for enjoying the show.
Of course. And it's been a long, crazy one. This tequila has worn off, thankfully. Getting a little crazy back then. But keep your opinion. If you're listening to this, keep your fucking opinion. Express it no matter what the fuck goes through in life, because it matters, man. And shout out to Origami Angel, seriously.
Shout out to Origami Angel. If you guys ever want to be in the show.
Oh, yeah, man. And I'll say this now. If you're listening up until this point, come on the show. If you have your own podcast, if you have your own show or whatever, even if you don't, if you got some shit to say, you know, EarthMind&Matter Pod is the social.
EarthMind&Matter Pod on TikTok and Instagram.
Maybe Twitter if Elon Musk buys it. If Elon Musk buys Twitter, we'll make a Twitter.
Okay.
That's a deal?
Yeah.
That's a deal. All right, man. So yeah, man. And what a crazy episode. For real, man.
Well, overall, Frankie, what did we do?
We talked about what's happening on the earth.
This is what happened in our minds.
And why it mattered. This is EarthMind&Matter, man.
Oof.
Good morning, good evening, good night.
And good evening, good night, good morning. Oh!